Yes, indeed. I have returned. It's another Saturday, so you know what it is. It's another Saturday night. Shoot the breeze. So, missed you guys last week. I apologize for not being here. Couldn't get home in time. Last week, RBG, Real Black Gemini, streamed tonight on now. Unfortunately, there wasn't a stream last week, but there is one tonight. So, gather your people. Come one, come all, and let's have a good conversation tonight. You know what I like to do. Before we officially start the show, I like to come on and let you guys know what we are discussing tonight. By the way, if you're listening to me right now live, if you can hear my voice, drop a 1 for me in the chat. Drop a 1 so that I know for sure I'm being heard loud and clear. Tonight, we're going to be discussing Andrew Tate. Is Andrew Tate right? Are white people fucked? We're going to look at a video. The problem says the agenda for the young black man of the next generation. We'll find out what that's about later on. This is an interesting prompt. It says, instead of trying to commit murder, why not practice semen retention? Instead of trying to commit murder, why not practice semen retention? Let's see what that's about as well. We're going to look at a prompt that says, this seems to be the way many women from the diaspora feel. Are they speaking the truth? So ladies, gentlemen, if you have ladies in your lives, ladies, if you're out there listening, bring a few more ladies in. Let's have that discussion tonight with more women as opposed to just a panel of all men. So that's what we have in store tonight. I see I got a 1 from Oni out there who's on the continent right now. I appreciate that. So I'm being heard. Those are the topics that we're going to discuss tonight. What I'm going to do now is start the show officially. And on the other side, I will welcome in any and all panelists, as well as drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1 tonight. So do stay tuned. In the meantime, hit the like button, share it on social media, call up some people, let them know that we're on this week, and I'll see you on the other side of the intro. Stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now, your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Goku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where Black problems are addressed with Black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the Revolutionary Matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Now, I know I'm a small channel, as all of us on KWAZ Radio are. We're small channels. But you guys, give a little bit more love to the matron. make sure you subscribe to our matron on YouTube. I'm not sure. I think she's on Twitter as well. But subscribe to our matron on YouTube. Let's get bigger audiences in as she's reading these books, so that she could get better interactions. Make sure to hit her Cash App, donate to her. I think she's doing an excellent job. I would just like to see more folks really get behind what she's doing a little bit more. With that said, let's start the show. Let me welcome in my first panelist for the night, Black Steel. Black Steel, how are you?
I'm doing well, Coco. You're breaking up a little bit. How are you?
I'm good. I'm breaking up.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, that's better. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I'm good. Sorry, I was running late last week, so I didn't do the show last week, but I'm glad to see you this week.
Hey, man, I'm always happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Let's welcome in our boy Buana this week. Buana, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to hear from you, Coco. Glad to have you back. Black Steel, how are you, brother? Coco, just give me a minute. I'll be back, okay?
Sure thing. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. With that said, those are the two panelists so far tonight. Anyone else who wants to come, the link to join the panel is attached to, it's pinned to the top of the chat. So just come on through, click the link for panel, pinned to the top of the chat, and you too can be featured as a panelist on tonight's show. Shout out to Kofi, the Black Critic, too. I saw he reposted a previous episode of Shoot the Breeze to his channel. I appreciate that. Like I said, we got to do more work together in the near future. We have another panelist joining us. We got Oni. Oni, how are you this week?
Peace. Everything's cool, man. Everything's cool.
Only you deep who you think you are? Lauren Hill showing up late? What's wrong with you?
I have to get up, man. I have to wake up, but all right. It's not 8 o'clock here. What time is it? 3 a.m. So yeah. No, I was just plugging in the internet so I wouldn't sound like a robot. I don't know if that worked or not, but yeah, I know. Showing up late, like I don't like the class.
I appreciate you waking up early in the continent to tune in and be a part of Shoot the Breeze. I appreciate it. Without further ado, let's do Shoot the Breeze topic number 1 tonight. Shoot the Breeze topic number 1 says, is Andrew Tate right? Are white people screwed? This came, of course, with a link that's taken us to Twitter. And it's taken us to this tweet by Andrew Tate himself. He says, "Dear white men, you're fucked. You're being replaced because none of you have children. Even those of you bitching about the replacement online like little girls don't find the gumption to fuck. I see white men bragging about having 5 kids as if it's an achievement. LOL. 5, LOL. Per year, right? Oh, all you white boys lost control of your women, and now they won't accept multiple wives anymore. Now they tell you they don't want any more kids. One's enough. They don't want to do their God-given job anymore. No, they want Instagram likes instead. So your genetic potential is stumped by the whims of some singular female. A female who takes 9 whole months to grow a single baby. Other races have multiple ovens for bread. We're not cooked. Some bitch is screaming at you about loyalty, and you're sitting there saying, quote unquote, yes, baby. Jerking off to porn when she's asleep, or maybe cheating with a side bitch, condom on. Oh no, I couldn't get another woman pregnant. My wife would kill me. Total fucking losers. Soon your race will be nothing more than a few pages in a history book. A lesson on what happens when you fuck the female psyche so hard they're obsessed with money and social media as opposed to being one of many baby factories for a king. 30 children minimum for the dons. White people, go talk to your quote-unquote best friend wife about what to do this weekend. Maybe you can take a nice walk around IKEA. Enjoy extinction. So that's That's an Andrew Tate tweet. Isn't Andrew Tate a white boy himself? I'm a little bit confused there.
He's biracial. I think his father's black.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He's biracial.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Well, since Black Steel gave us that piece of info, Black Steel, what say you to Andrew Tate? Is he right? Are white people fucked?
Andrew Tate, excuse me, he's regurgitating the great replacement myth that these white conservatives and these white fascists are pushing. So the idea that white people are being replaced in the world, they're being outnumbered, is part of a conspiracy by the learned elders of Zion to replace white people with a race of people who are more, excuse me, malleable than white people are. So there's no truth to what he's saying. So birth rates are down across the Western world, I should say. Europe, Western Europe, the Americas, Australia. Most of it is white people, and there's several reasons for this. But I think one of the reasons for this, number one, is birth control, and two, the insane cost of living. It's really expensive to have multiple children. It's something they always leave this out. Between food, shelter, clothing. I think they said the average cost to raise one child in the U.S. is almost $250,000. So sorry about that, my dog. But anyways, yeah. So he's leaving that part out. That these white men, oh, you're a cuck. No, it's fucking impossible to raise a family almost in the Western world because of the cost of living is so astronomically high. It's a little bit easier in outside of the West because one, the cost of living isn't so high. Two, the contraceptives aren't as readily available also. So, a lot of these women don't really have a choice in having these large families. But many times, once you get past replacement level, he's talking about having 5 kids per year. He's ridiculous, That's he's talking about a time back when infant mortality rate was like 50%. So you had to have that many kids because most of them are gonna die before they turn 2. So he's really talking nonsense. I don't really too much listen to what Andrew Tate says. He's definitely appealing to a particular audience to describe a problem that doesn't really exist because white people ain't being replaced. The world could always use a few less white people if you ask me, but I don't think there's any threat of white people going extinct anytime soon. If you go to these Scandinavian countries, there's plenty of white people there, plenty of Germans and Russians out there that aren't going anywhere. They just don't reproduce as fast as everybody else do, and that could be for religious reasons. Again, I mentioned birth control. It's mainly economic. There's also a phenomenon going on in South Korea. They talked about women who are avoiding relationships with men. A lot of that has to do with how insane the cost of living is in Korea and the expectations that are on men. In Japan, they have something they call the grass eaters movement. A lot of young Japanese men who are refusing to have relationships with women simply because of the expectations of the men on the society are so ridiculous that many men are just choosing to opt out, and many women are too. So I think this is more of a societal problem more so than what he's talking about, or white men just being fucked because they're choosing not to have as many children as possible. Who's gonna pay for them motherfucking kids, Andrew? Are you? Are you gonna take care of the kid? You gonna pay for daycare? Are you gonna offer a job that offers maternity leave and paternity leave, health care? That's the one thing. That's always the thing about these conservative people. They always talk about how much they love the kids, but then once that's only when they're when the kids are in utero. Once they leave the uterus, fuck those kids. So that's really the biggest problem. There's one thing to say have more kids, but kids need to be taken care of. Are you gonna help me take care of these 5 kids? We don't live in a world where women can stay at home with 5 children while the man makes enough money to provide for the whole household. That world doesn't exist anymore. If it ever really did, because especially for black people. We never had that option to where one person could just take the whole bills for the most part. You know, you got a few outliers, but for the overall majority, that wasn't our reality. So Andrew Tate is just really, he's talking, regurgitating this great replacement theory, trying to rile up his base because I think he's facing some sex trafficking charges. As I heard, he's trying to deal with staying out of jail because he was in Romania trying to traffic these young girls. So I think Andrew needs to worry about his own house before he worry about somebody else. Thank you. Coco, I'll leave it there.
I appreciate that, Black Steel. I'll tell you, my grandparents raised me, and they had 10 children before I came along. And for a long time, I used to think, oh, yeah, I want to have 10 kids like my grandpa had. And let me tell you something. I started having kids in the States. Let me tell you something. Like what Black Steel said, you really can't afford. I mean, if I'm being real serious, maybe 2 children or something out here. You go past that, you're going to have some financial difficulty behind it. In the chat, Dragapi262 Plus says that Tate is quarter black. The father is half black. Okay. KW Don 7 described it as financial eugenics. He says that the South Korean birth rate is 0.6, and he followed up with a stat that I knew. He says a 2.1 birth rate is needed to maintain population replacement. So that's something to keep in mind. 2.1 is the rating of, so I think 2.1 refers to 2.1 children per woman. That's what you need to have to replace the old and dying. South Korea has 0.6, so woe be unto them, I guess. Trigger Happy said, I think the birth rate problem, in his opinion, is because of the culture and worldview of the West. Many Asian countries also took aspects of that. I can see that too. I appreciate those comments. Y'all keep them coming. In the meantime, let me see. Is Buana back?
Yeah. I'm back. Yeah. I think that Black Steel and you too, Koku, y'all are talking from the perspective of dads. Y'all are responsible fathers. So when y'all see that the cost of having a child is high, that is a dad's position. And I'm explaining why. Because Western media has it as if the black man is the original deadbeat dad, but that's not true. The original deadbeat dad is these white guys who go all over the world, spreading their seeds, having all kind of children for all different manifestations of women in the world, and bounce. When the military goes to any country in the world, I could assure you, by the time they coming back, they leave many children, unclaimed children, unclaimed children. You know, they go to these vacation spots in Thailand and Dominican Republic. They have many children, but this is an unheard thing in Western media because they leave their children all over the place. I think that what's happening is the browning, because even though they're spreading their seeds and bounce, the children are not gonna come out European. Well, they're not gonna come out looking like their dads. Let me put it like that. But they have many children around the world. In fact, him will get into the whole historical thing in slavery about how many children they left around. But they spread their seed all about the place. They don't consider, oh, I'm gonna eventually have to take care of these children. So when Andrew Tate says what he says, I don't know if he's talking in the context of having white kids, but the reality is that as long as there's European men, there's going to be irresponsible behavior, and they're going to be irresponsibly around the world. And unfortunately, many women are going to go for that because they think some of these men have money, they think some of these men have names, so they lay up with them all over the world, man, all over the world. Happens all the time. So if you say that they're gonna eventually be fucked, as Andrew Tate says, maybe. Maybe because if you're talking in the context of the whole family structure in America, because that's really going the way of that institution is a failing institution. I can understand when he says that. That's a failing institution. But in terms of white men having children, I don't think that that's going to be. Well, I guess they go into what was the LGBT Greek kind of culture as well. There's a lot of different dynamics to really include into this particular statement, but they are no short of having children, man. That's not a reality. I don't think that's a real reality, but that's how I look at this particular prompt.
I appreciate that, Buana. KW7 in the chat says Urugu will still be around even with immigration problems in the U.S. With that said, Oni, you heard everything everyone else had to say. You see what the chat had to say. What say you to all of it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna try to sing Bob Marley, right? All right. Yeah, no. Well, Daniel Tate just seemed like an idiot, low key. A quarter black. He just seemed like an idiot who came across an interesting statistic. But like, what is this? Five kids per year. What is this? Oh man, I'm gonna be fucking prostitutes, condom off. Like, he's not serious. He's not a serious individual. He's an individual like who's fucked in the brain. Like, I never really listened to Andrew Tate, so I can't say what his deal is. I think I listened to maybe like 2 clips of him because some dude, like, I don't know how, but American media travels, and so some dude in America showed me a video of him. Some dude in Tanzania showed me a video of him talking to like Just Pearl or something like that. And he's all, men are this and men are better at this, and when you get older, whatever, right? And I mean, the thing is that what I noticed is this: the West got a really bad balance. The West is not like, has a really bad social imbalance, and it always has. And it's really what's messing over everybody who tries to Westernize. So especially African Americans, but Japanese, Koreans, all of these people getting fucked over by by Westernization. I mean, what we have to remember is that the Chinese had to fuck themselves over. Because they were having, they started having to kill their own daughters because they were like, damn, we having children. You know what I'm saying? like one thing we're doing is we having kids. But yeah, the Westerner, he has a social environment that is not conducive towards replacement, not conducive towards survival. Like Buana pointed out, his survival often hinges on him going around being a deadbeat around the world. But outside of that, if just inside his family, no, he's a cuck. And Andrew Tate realizes this. Now, what Andrew Tate doesn't realize is a real solution. He just sees, hey, you know what? White people, like white men generally in their houses, are cucks. Like, white people, if you look at the historical record, they are normally cucks. Okay? And by cucks, what I mean is this. Like, in their household, in their family, what I noticed when I was studying monogamy, one of the reasons why I had to, like, once upon a time, I used to call, I used to say Occidentals, Orientals, and originals, right? Or basically Europeans, Asians, and Africans. And one of the big differences between the 3 groups was that one thing about the Asian was that, particularly like the Middle Eastern guy, was that he would have harems. He would have multiple wives, right? And what I saw with the African was that he would have one wife. That's what I was seeing, right? Like, historically. But, and of course, there's people, there's African groups that have more than whatever. But what I'm saying is that historically, the norm, you see one wife, right? But with the European, you would see multiple husbands. You know what I'm saying? You see the women with multiple husbands, or the women sharing dudes. You know, and what's women sharing dude? Prostitutes. And if you look at the normal dating scene in America, you know, what is it? What is it really? The dating scene in America is really a bunch of women sharing dudes. You know, women will tell you. In fact, recently, if you listen to women's musics at this point, and not just women music, but just women in general, they almost always tell you they got a roster. What does that mean? That means you're taking turns with a lady. That's what it means. And I'm telling you, this goes back to 1900s, 1800s, 1700s, whatever. But because the European will document, hey, you know what? You go to a brothel or whatever, and this woman would have 108 guys in one day. You know what I'm saying? Like something stupid like that, like 108 guys in one day. How? But what I'm saying, long story short, the white man always had a terrible society when it comes to dating and sexuality. How he survived this long, who knows? Okay, that's why I don't even buy into this, the birth rate stuff, because who knows how to fuck this guy? Because he always had a weird society, right? We've always been saying, oh yeah, they're soon going to be gone. Like Malcolm X was talking about that shit. Oh yeah, they're soon gone. They're soon gone. They're soon gone. Yeah, Malcolm X was 3 generations ago, and they're still heavy outnumbering, everybody, except for the Mexicans, right? But they outnumber them anyway. Point is, yeah, Andrew Tate probably, because it's everybody knows. Like I said, Malcolm X was talking about it. Everybody knows that white folk got a lower birth rate than black folk. That's about it, right? But as far as how you can get a solution together, white folk are nowhere near imagining it. Okay? I don't like Jomo Kenyatta, but I read Kenyatta's book and I was like, oh, okay. These motherfuckers, like the Kikuyu, had a solution. The Kikuyu had a solution. And you look through Africa's, historical record and you say, oh yeah, the Africans had a solution. Now, are we practicing it as, quote unquote African Americans or diaspora? No, we're not. But did we have a solution? Absolutely. Does Andrew Tate? No. He's just an idiot yelling about statistics he doesn't understand. And social dynamics he doesn't understand, and offering stupid solutions, but it is what it is, like KWAZ says, about the 20/80 rule, or the 30/70 rule. It is what it is.
Only before you go though, what was the Kikuyu solution?
Well, no, I mean, all right. So what I would say in general, so here's what I would say. So I put it in my latest book. You guys check it out, Wrong Leafu. But in my latest book, I realized there was a rule in Ma'at, right, which basically says you should not fornicate. So you say to yourself, how could you not fornicate? Because basically what we have is a society that fornicates. Okay? We're a society where you could meet a woman, you go on a date with her, and then, within a few dates, by the third date, you should be fornicating. Okay? But the ancient Egyptian is telling you you can't fornicate. So then you have to ask yourself, how in the world could you, meet a woman in 3 dates, fornicate? Well, you can't. The way how you could go through your life never fornicating is if you had what we call either arranged marriages, or what you would have is marriage. Like you'd have younger people, like essentially dating to marry, pretty soon after puberty, right? And so if you look at throughout African history, you'll see that common recurring theme where not necessarily after puberty per se, but what you see is that you as a parent, you as a father, would support your child in their pursuit of relationships pretty early on. But when you see that there's no support system for your dating life or for your marriage life in the West, right? Now, of course, I don't want to give white people game, but what I'm saying is that basically you are, like in the West, you are told to pretty much, put relationships to the side, and then 10 years later, right, maybe get married. Like 10 years after puberty, maybe get married. However, you're not gonna be abstinent for 10 fucking years after puberty, because once puberty comes, you are, you're a sexual individual, right? That's the whole point of puberty. Puberty is charging you with sexuality, right? So if you're not gonna spend 10 years celibate, right? But what happens inside of those African societies is that they recognize, hey, look, you go through puberty, you're basically, an adult, except for that you might not have the resources as an adult. So what they did in, Kikuyu, or what they did in Africa in general, is that, especially your father would give you your inheritance that early. You see, so the Kikuyu, when the Kikuyu youth, right? And I'm not saying he's 14, he might be 15, 18, 16, I don't know. But the point is that when the Kikuyu youth is interested in a woman, his father would give him a plot of land and give him a house and give him a livelihood so that he can then support a family. Like, because even when you say, hey, I can't, like when we were talking earlier, you can't support a kid if you so on and so forth. Well, yeah, you can't support a kid if you don't have any parental support to support a kid. But if you generationally have parental support to support a kid, you can. So you might be like, like for us, a 14-year-old with a job makes no damn sense, because we are not, we're not geared toward that, right? But in the Kikuyu society, a 14-year-old with a job does make sense. And if a 14-year-old or 15-year-old, whatever, I don't know, I don't care what age it is. But what I'm saying is that if this young person can support a family, can support a wife, which is what his father makes sure, because he gives him the land, he gives him the house, he gives him whatever, then you don't run into any of these problems that we have in the West. Because and of course, well, the Kikuyu, for their sake, they're the ones that were more polygamous. So in that culture, the woman would would even ask the guy, when you get in a second wife. But I'm not saying that's the part that you need to copy. But my point is that the reason why that could even happen is because when Africans own the land, and when Africans could early on, we got to go through initiation where they learn to be men at an early age, and learn to support a family at an early age, and their employment is guaranteed, or their livelihood, their ability to support themselves, whether it be farming, garden, whatever. If it's taught at an early enough age, right, you can, one, afford a family, two, you'll have a home, you'll have somewhere to support a woman, and three, you're not going to be going around fucking around. You're not going to be fucking around and finding out. But the thing is that when you don't have a systematic system for a systematic system, right? Anyway, but when you don't have a systematic system for supporting children, or for men, or for boys supporting girls, right? For boys to be providers, and instead what you have is a system in the West where men and women are being taught to support themselves. You're not trying to form, like, you're not initiating people in order so that they can be good husbands, good wives, right? But you're initiating people so that they can become good workers. And in that way, there's no way you're going to have good relationships, right? Because the thing is not so much that you can't afford 5 kids, it's that you can't afford to work and have 5 kids. That's it.
Well said. I'm happy you detailed the Kikuyu solution there. But it reminds me that I got pushback on Shoot the Breeze maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever, when I said I think that particularly poor black folks, I think, need to limit how many children they're having. A lot of people push back against me saying that. But I said that with that Kikuyu solution in mind. We don't have the resources like that. We don't have the systems, like Oni said, systematic systems to kind of assure and assist our youth to be able to engage in these relationships, to produce a lot of children and stuff like that, because we don't have the support strategy lined up, a lot of you pushed back. So earlier when Black Steel started off talking, he mentioned how for our people it's so difficult because of the economics. So I'm going to ask the question as a follow-up to everything everyone had to say. Should our people, particularly those who are in economic distress, should they continue making multiple children that they cannot afford?
First of all, your question, it's a form of, as KW Don said earlier, talked about financial eugenics, right? So I don't agree with that, because Black people in the United States have always been poor, believe it or not. We have always been poor, and yet we've always been managed to raise our family. The solution is to have extended family networks. Growing up, if you need somebody to watch the kids, you could ask grandma, you ask grandpa, you ask your neighbors. So that was African people's solution, especially under oppression, is that we would lend on each other. Now, because the society is so atomized and so individualized, we don't have that network. We can't go to your cousin. She doesn't want anybody saying anything to her kids, no matter how bad they act. I'm exaggerating here, but the kinship networks that connected us and enabled us to survive under oppression has been radically changed. So, and that's definitely by design. So no, I don't agree that we should limit the number of children. I mean, everybody has to decide the number of kids that they're comfortable with, right? But I don't think that any type, we're not going to have kids that we can't afford. That's eugenics, because the rich people who happen to be white are trying to have it. Look how many kids Elon Musk got. He's got plenty of kids. I think the solution should be change the system of capitalism and white domination and overthrow that system. To me, it's like everybody wants to do everything but challenge the capitalist system, which is keeping us in these conditions and from the very beginning. One, two, white people. The idea of whiteness is the ability to adapt and change over time, right? That's one thing about whiteness is its flexibility. So people who we consider white now weren't considered white 100 years ago. So as these fair-skinned Latinos come into the United States, they will be absorbed into whiteness. We've already seen this happening. These Cubans of European descent. Hell, where did most of the Nazis go? I mean, after World War II, they went to South America, Argentina, Paraguay, and hid out there. So you see that this idea of whiteness kind of can be malleable. But to me, I feel like the overall issue is, why don't we, instead of telling us how many kids we should have, why don't we challenge capitalism? Why don't we organize and create a system where we don't have to limit the number of kids we have, where we can have mutual support networks and support everybody. They can have as many kids as they want within reason. That's what I'm saying. I feel like we should focus on, we're trying to attack, the leg instead of trying to attack the head of this monster. I'll leave it there.
I appreciate that take. But I'll just, this is rhetorical. I'll just say, until you defeat that monster, what do you do for your better survival? But wanna go ahead.
No, I have a different view than Black Steel. I think that yes, that when he says that you should have better networks in terms of child rearing, yes, that's a solution. But I would also say a solution to me is, instead of having as many kids as you want, why don't you figure your way out of poverty? And one of the things in figuring your way out of being poor is not to continue the behaviors that will make you continually poor for generations. I mean, that's the reason why you're being you're being disadvantaged, or let me say setback as a soundbite, but you're being put at a difficult, in a very difficulty when you have 5 children and you don't necessarily have the finances to be able to provide effectively for these 5 kids. And yes, you could overthrow all the workers of the world unite and overthrow capitalism, but until that happens, you live in a capitalist situation. And I think that it would be better, instead of having as many children as you want, as you see around here, this in particular this place, why don't you develop a skill set? Develop more skill sets. Improve your circumstances before you have as many children, so you can improve the lifestyles or the livelihoods or the life of the children that you are gonna create. And I understand where the term financial eugenics come from, because you don't want only the wealthy having the ability to decide how much children they can have. But there are some realities that we have to really come to terms with. And if it takes money to buy food, the state, this is in Cuba, the state don't provide food for you. And for you to get that money, you have to be doing something where people would want to give you money for you to be able to take care and provide for your family members. It does not make sense for you to have 5 children and have no job, or be worrying where your next meal is coming from for yourself, let alone 5 other mouths. I just I think that I understand. I would want I would want for us to have strong families in the West. I understand that we are taught to be good employees rather than good parents or good husband and wives or good brothers and sisters. We are taught to be good employees. Bump everything else, because the government have a conditioning model in mind for anyone who lives in their societies. However, I think that when you have these ties where you even if I was to leave my kids with this person and that, I mean, we have romantic notions when we leaving the children with our uncles and big mamas. Things go on, and that's in these scenarios too. But needless to say, I even gonna go get into that. I'm just saying that we should participate in responsible behavior, and I believe responsible behavior is not having so many mouths to feed and not having the resources that you need to provide and take care of them. Uh, Koku said that his granddad had 10 children. Well, back then, what he's not saying, I don't know if Koku was on in an island situation or on Nassau, but in an island situation, you had land. You had land. So you had enough land to be able to have 10 children. As a matter of fact, 10 children was a benefit, because you have more hands to plow, you have more hands to seed the ground, you have more hands to take care of the pigs, the cows, you have more hands to go fishing, you have more hands to do different kinds of things. Whereas if it was just one person having to do these things, it would make the job of taking care of family more difficult. But if I have my 5 sons, or even some daughters, my mother used to say the older children used to take care of the younger children, and then the older children had duties and responsibilities, and so did the younger kids. So you're working in a different kind of microcosm, but the man who owned the land, he actually owned the land. So I just think that back then there was a benefit. Where we live in these metropolitan areas now, the economic landscape has changed. And I think that there should be some social responsibility in not having to have so many children, when at the end of the day they looking at you and saying, "Daddy, where my milk is, where my food is, I hungry." You're just putting people in a difficult situation. You know what I mean? So even though the term is referenced in terms of something genocide for financial eugenics, I just think that there's another conversation that needs to be had in terms of looking at this scenario. But I'll leave it there. I'll leave it.
Before Oni goes, I want to say one quick thing. We understand that in a capitalist system, poverty is not a choice. Poverty is a necessity, right? That's what they refer to as a reserve pool of labor. There's always going to be a segment of the population that is poor. There's always going to be a segment of the population that is unemployed, because that is the system necessitates that, right? So what are we really saying? These people aren't poor because, oh, I just don't want to work. No, there are people who are purposely kept poor because they're needed. They need to have a reserve army of labor to pull from if necessary. So people being poor is not so much a function of they just don't want to work, but because poverty is manufactured, it's mandated. That's why we have problems with inflation now. Because people had too much spending. Let's hit them with this inflation. That'll cut the spending. You see, so we're all almost like we're slaves to this market. These people with the puppet strings to control the economy and whatnot. And then we're told, well, don't fucking have kids. Now, hey, these people shouldn't have the power over your lives the way they do. I just feel like our organizational skills should be directed towards endeavors that can challenge the status quo, not telling me, I want to have children and I tell me you can't. First, you can't have your avocado toast, like the white kids say. You can't have your avocado toast. You can't have a car. You'll never own a house. Now you're never owning. Now you can't have kids now. Like it's a very slippery slope. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut on
Black,
that one.
but black steel. There are men who don't want to work, brother. That in the mornings, I pass at least 5 grown ass men. Some of them have drug problems, sure, but they stand in the middle of the street every day. They are committed to it, asking for $1. And I'm saying to myself, right? There are other. Even if you offer, I would rather you offer to wash my car. To have something to do in the day. One of the worst things that I have seen before on the streets of the Bahamas, a pregnant dope-head woman. That's one of the, just walking the street like with slippers. I'm saying to my, how in the world could she have gotten pregnant? Who would have done that to her in the state that she is in? I understand what you're saying, because there are people legitimately who want to do something, but they can't see themselves out of the situation financially. And like you say, maybe the state kind of necessitates these people, but there are people that exist among us within our own community who don't want to freaking like they rather do all kind of things, man. I don't know. Maybe I see it a little bit different, but I could be wrong. I see it a little bit different, Black Steel. That's just where I stand right now. My mind might change about it, but that's where I stand right now about it. That's how I think about it, But I'll leave it.
Only
Yeah.
I'll give you the last word.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the whole thing is it goes back to how the economy is shaped. Like Barna was saying, when you have land, right, you don't have to work for nobody else, right? Now, because what happens is that like what Black Steel is saying about the capitalists. This is what some white boy told me a long time ago, and it stuck with me. I was back in high school, I think, and he stuck with me. And he was like, the capitalist only pays you enough to come to work tomorrow. And the thing that a lot of us don't pick up on is this: this white boy could pay you any amount of money. He could pay you anything. He could pay you 80% more or 20% less, right? He could pay you anything. What he chooses to pay you is enough so that you could show up to work the next week. And this is a principle that, because I hear in Tanzania, for instance, right? I could like I said, you could set up, you could buy your own restaurant or whatever, and you can employ your employees. You can pay your employees anything, right? And some of us will do some of us think the common rookie mistake, pay them a whole bunch so that they would stick with you. The reason why people don't do that is because no one's going to stick with you if you pay them a whole bunch. Because if they get enough capital to do their own thing, they're going to leave you. Duh. Right? If you pay them enough, if you pay them enough to not work next week, they're not going to show up to work next week. Nobody fucking wants to work. Right? You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. A lot of us don't realize this. A lot of us don't pick up on this. But before the feminist movement, right, was in earnest or whatever, right? White men used to get paid enough to support their families. Okay? So white men used to get paid more than enough to feed their families, right? What happened is that white men started getting paid less because women started working, right? And I mean, this is like something you'd have to look at the societal norm at the time. But like it used to be that, yeah, women's pay was much less, because it was like, well, you got a husband, duh. Why the fuck am I paying you? Like what I'm saying is that payment, or how people were paid was uh was I don't want to use the word systemic again, right? Or systematic again. But my point is that people were conscious of what they were paying you for. Once upon a time, they were paying you to support a family. They were paying a man to support a family, and then now they're paying a man or a woman to support themselves. Because they're doing that, you're getting paid. You're technically getting paid less, right? And you're trying to support your family on wages that are not meant to support families, right? So you were getting screwed that way. Now, when you go to the work, it's like what Bwana said. I mean, when you go to the land, it's like what Bwana said. The more children you had, the more farm hands you had. The more profit you can make off of land, right? There's a big difference between being independent and not necessarily getting paid per just being paid per individual, and essentially being paid to so on and so forth. So in a sense, yeah, the capitalist, if you will, mindset of paying you just enough as an individual to come back to work is going to screw you over on that level. But sorry, the question was, should you still have children? The problem, I'll say the problem with that question, right, is that you can't stop people from fornicating if this is a fornicating culture. And people are having children. Most people are not having children intentionally. Like most of these guys are having children because they're fucking around. They're fucking prostitutes, pretty much, or like unlicensed prostitutes for without a condom. They're having raw sex with women they're not married to. They're having raw sex with women they're dating, and raw sex with women they're so and so. And these women are trying to keep the children for whatever reason, right? That's what's going on. And you're not going to stop, dumb folk from doing dumb shit. Laying up with, laying up with strangers raw, and then keeping their kids, not aborting their kids. You're not going to stop people from making stupid decisions, stupid choices. What Black people should be doing is getting into their married life, their married bag, and then trying to somehow accumulate capital, right? In order that they can have some sort of independent existence, in order that they can in order that they can support themselves, possibly with one income, but in such a way that things, pay for themselves, pay them out. But if you can't manage that life, then the reality is that the way how the system is, you'll be screwed over. Because again, this white boy, he used to pay white men in particular enough to support their whole fucking household. One income, support everybody, support his wife and kids. He's now paying you enough so that you need to wait on your wife to make ends meet. And of course, when he does that, he's not paying you to support your children like he used to. And so again, on a higher level, these white people are screwing over their own people. And that's why, when Andrew Tate says it's kind of legitimate, but the thing is this, it's not the white man can't fix it. He's not going to fix it. He can't fix it. And so they're just screwed. That's why I tell people, just get the fuck off let's get away from this white people. Get away from white leadership. Just get away. Because the problem is self-evident. The problem for you is that that's your fucking leader. Like there's nothing wrong with like Biden got his problems. But his big problem is that he's your president. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about Putin or Xi Jinping, but they're not your presidents. So even if there was something wrong with them, even if they were like, oh yeah, you might say, well, stay away from windows next to Putin, right? Yeah, okay. Even if that's true, he's not your president. So it don't got nothing to do with you. You got to look at who's your leadership, and should that be your leadership? And the thing is this: white people, on a systematic level, they screw themselves over. And of course, when white folk have a flu, black folk, have COVID or something. You know what I'm saying? Or pneumonia. So it's like, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's a good word at the end. I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's who controls your reality. And the fact of the matter is, we don't control the reality, especially if we're right underneath their leadership. We're not controlling shit, and so we are victims of whatever they decide to do, and they often will fuck over their own people. Like, well, what Oni is saying is the other side of, they opened up the economy when they let women go into the workforce. That was them opening up the economy. That was them saying, listen, we got too many burger shops and clothing stores and this, that, and the other for these women to be home sharing one income, with their husbands. We got to open this shit up so that these stores can thrive too, But anyway, I digress. Let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 for time's sake. Great conversation to start it off. I appreciate that. This one is a little bit lighter. I didn't realize I put it at number 2. It says, Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 says, which of these is the coldest? And that refers to this tweet here from Wire that says the coldest quotes by UFC fighters. It's a thread. First one says, if you can bring King Kong and he can make 155, let's go. Okay. Second one says,
left and right. Let me tell you something, uneducated fool. If I had that much money, I'd be pampering myself up. I'd be having pampering my left and right. Let me tell you something, uneducated fool. If I had that much money, I'd be pampering myself up. I'd be having pampering my left and
okay. Okay, so okay, so that's the second one. Third one says, I guess it's Dustin Poirier. He says, we fall, but we get up because the ground is no place for a champion. So again, we're trying to see which one is the coldest line here. This one says, what does this title represent? It means you are the best in the world. I can't even see all that shit, to be honest. Let me see if I can make it bigger. It means you are the best in the world. And if you are the best in the world, it doesn't matter who is going to be there across from you. What could I say? No, never. Let's do this. So I guess that's another one. This is a strange one. So this one says, I don't ever want a problem, but if the problem comes to me, I say no problem. Okay, I like that one actually. This one says, this is from Kamzat Shemaev. It says, I'm bloody, I'm tired, I feel a little pain, I love this shit. This is from Ihor. It says, I think he is too overrated, and soon in a duel, I will show you why I think so. I think he's overrated, and soon in a duel, I will show you why I think so. There's a lot of white guys. This one says, goats come and go, but boats stay afloat. I'm a boat. I'm the best of all time. Okay. When you're the best fighter in the world today, they don't call you the best fighter. They call you Shale Sonnen. Another one. If one white man can hold you down, two can rape you? What? If one man can hold you down, two can rape you. All right. So some people are saying, bro, 155, I got turds bigger than that. Someone says Conor would fight King Kong at any weight, etc. So those are some of them. You guys heard them. You saw them on the screen, I guess. Which ones do you think is the coldest? Let me start with Black Steel. Oh, actually, let me start with Buana.
The coolest quote for me in history is, if you want to beat a man, you gotta beat the man. Woo! That's the coolest quote to me, man. You know, these guys, they just mimicking the best of the best. You know, Muhammad Ali, my guy Ric Flair, you know, I don't know. These guys, they pretending, man. They pretending. But Corner is good too. I like Corner, some of Corner quotes. These kind of look corny to me, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was thinking about Ric Flair too. If you want to beat a man, you gotta beat the man. I kind of like that. Oni, what say you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't remember, but let me see. I mean, this first one wasn't that bad, but maybe the guy who said, if you're the greatest fighter in the world, you know, they don't call you they don't call you the best fighter in the world. They call you. He just says his name. That's pretty cool. I ain't gonna hold you. Yeah, this right here, Child Son. I never heard this motherfucker though, but yeah, that's a cold quote right there. Although I did think this one was important, you know, about if one man can hold you down, two can rape you. You know, like that's. I mean, it's a weird, it's a weird thing to say, but like realistically, you know, I remember. I tell you guys this all the time. My brother is like a martial artist type, you know, like a high class, you know, like a high skilled one. But he's saying, look, if you get into a fight with 5 men, you know, unarmed, fair fight, you know, quote unquote fair fight, the 5 men are gonna win. Like it don't matter who the 5 fucking men are. Look, I mean, if they're you know not paraplegics or something, right? They're gonna win. And like so it's like if you get into a fight with 5 men, I think you're saying, and you survive, it's because they let you. You know? And so this quote right here about, you know, if you know one man can hold you down. If one can hold you down, then you know 2 can, you know, do, you know, what they want, right? It's a reality on this planet that, you know, you have to either develop technology or you develop, you know, morality. You know what I'm saying? You have to either develop a superior technology, or you have to somehow convince people to be moral. Because guys guys can, and of course, you know, dudes don't necessarily come at you with just their fists anyway. You know, they'll come at you with, you know, sticks, stones, you know, to break your bones, or, you know, guns, you know, for fun, whatever. But the reality that's the like that's one of the truisms about why you need to organize, because at the end of the day you can't take on, or you could take on 2 guys maybe, right, but you can't take on 5 guys. So the more organized party is the one who's going to be dictating shit, and that's just life.
Yeah, this one stuck out to me too for similar reasons for what you said, Oni. It stuck out to me in terms of like populations. Like one thing you don't want to do is be outnumbered, and that, you know, that makes me think of the black situation here in America. You know, you're outnumbered here, and so therefore these people could do you anything. Yeah, these folks can do you anything here once you're outnumbered, and so that's what stood out to me a bunch. Another thing too, based on what you just said, Oni, is either you have to develop better technology, or you have to get everyone to be moral. I think black folks spend too much time trying to get everyone to be moral, as opposed to you know, organize yourselves and get better fucking technology. You know, this idea that you're going to, you know, I think about MLK as I say this idea that you're going to show these people you're suffering and they're going to have a change of heart, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. So don't be outnumbered. and don't try to make another man moral. You just have to have better technology. Let's see if Black Steel is back. Is Black Steel back?
Yes, sir. I'm here. So I like that first one. He said, if King Kong can make 155, that's one of my favorite fighters. Is that Khabib? Nurmagomedov? I don't know where he's from, but I think he's from. Oh, that's him. That's Khabib. But yeah, so Khabib, he's one of the greatest UFC fighters I've ever seen. Definitely a cold line there. But the line about if one man can hold you down, can hold you down, two can rape you. That's that's insane. But no, I certainly think that was a good line too. But but yeah, I like the one from Khabib. Khabib is Khabib never even lost a round, let alone a fight. He's undefeated. And then Conor McGregor still talking shit after getting his ass beat by him multiple times. But anyway, I like Khabib. I think that just his there's an arrogance, but also a self-confidence about him that he has that says, look, come step in the ring. I'm willing to put my body on the line for it. But yeah, I definitely like that one and the first one and the last one about about two people holding you down. Pause. But yeah, those are all of them are really good though. We got a good lighthearted topic.
So the coldest. Hold on, what's going on there? I hate when shit doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So I guess the coldest line will either be the two men holding you down or the King Kong one, right? Between you guys, you think the King Kong?
I don't think the holding one down is that cold. I think it's kind of weird, but
it is kind of.
I'm like, what is he thinking about? What is he thinking about?
Yeah, what's up in your mind, man? You was in the wrestling match, man. We ain't trying to. Nobody's trying to do that to you, man. But that's a little bit psychopathic. Like you gotta go check on that dude and check on his relations. But I think the King Kong was pretty cool. This boat is kind of lame because greatest of all time is kind of better than best of all time. I mean, it's it's not like So it's just this guy just didn't understand diction really. So yeah, I think the first one was pretty cool. I can't remember which one I picked, but first one was alright. But the last one wasn't. I think I picked the one where the guy was like this is pretty cool though. If King Kong go 155, put him in the ring. Motherfucker go fight King Kong. He crazy, man.
All right. Let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 tonight. Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 says the agenda for the young black man of the next generation. This, of course, comes with a link. Let me share it with you guys. We'll play it. We'll listen to it, and then we will discuss it after.
The men, all men. I'm not going to give it to black and white, but let's just say all men for now.
Let's talk black men. I don't. For me, like even with my tour, what I'm doing, right? Like by this time next year, I'm giving out reparations. I'm doing a lot in my community, right? And for black people. I don't care, but I'm talking about black people. My whole message point is for us. Now, when you talk about slavery, right? We talk about systemic racism. We talk about the Willie Lynch letter, right? We talk about, the black man is God, right? We talk about, the greatest soldier in a white man's army being the black woman and the black woman being the pawn. And then they figured out early on through slavery that because they were killing us, right? But they figured out if we get the black woman or we get the whole joint.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
you know why? Go ahead. I want you to explain why, because I think it needs.
But I get to that, but I want to finish the messaging point, right? I like to keep it cohesive for myself. I might forget a lot of information in here. So, what they did was they made the black woman hyper masculine, right? And they made you and me as we're studs. We're gonna be in the field. We're handy, right? And I think, and I'm trying to kind of connect it all because he made a valid point, right? The government empowered black women to strategically move the position of power from the black man.
Remove the power from the black man.
Right?
Yeah.
So now the black woman in that instance becomes drunk off this power, and then she has a disdain for the black man, and then it becomes perpetuated over generations. So with slavery, what they did was they take us, they call it buck breaking. They do gang bangers, rape us, cut our balls off in front of the black woman. And then before they kill the black man, they'll make the black, after they did him dusty, they'll chain him up, right? Look, they'll chain him up, right? They'll chain him up, beat him within an inch of his life, and then unchain him, and then rape and do that to the woman. And then the woman is looking at the man like, come save me, but mentally he's dead. He doesn't even have no fight in him. So now she doesn't even have no respect for you. You fast forward to this generation, black women don't respect black men at all. And when you understand that, and it's a lot, so I'm trying to make it like simple, right? Because a lot of people, they respond emotionally and not intellectually. And there's no empathy for black men. There's no sympathy for black men. You don't even love black men. You don't even know who we are. You don't give a fuck about us. Pay my bills, eat my ass, and that's it.
Thanks.
Okay, so it's important that black men understand what was done to us and why it was done to us. It's also important that black women understand their position in systematic racism and how they're being utilized to destroy their whole family and their whole community and whole generation. Okay, now a black man role is to be the protector, provider, maintainer, sustainer, and leader. I'm a man,
Producer.
protector, provider, maintainer, sustainer.
Producer.
You have your opinion, I have mine.
You're right. I'm just giving it. And producer.
Right. I got you. You have what you want to put in, right? And so I'm saying protector, provider, maintainer, sustainer, right? Protector, provider, maintainer, sustainer. A woman's role is wisdom and balance. Okay. Now, the black man gets his provision. He gets his provision, right, from God. And what happens is there's a vibration. It's a lot. So I'm trying to make it simple, right? So how you think creates how you feel. How you feel becomes an emotion. That emotion becomes a vibration. That vibration becomes a magnet that attracts things to you. So when you're around an alpha and you're around and you in that frequency, right? If
alpha what?
Man. Right? And that energy, that frequency, right? It can throw some shit off.
Yeah.
Because you're conditioned not to even be around that shit. And then you become sensitized, not desensitized. You're very sensitive to that energy. And then now you don't know how to read that energy. You think he's narcissistic. You think, no, he's where he needs to be to take his place. So I feel like black men need to disregard how black women feel about our masculinity and be more self-contained. I don't need you. I don't need you. I don't need your money. I don't need none of that. I'm not sleeping on your couch. Don't give me no keys. I'm gonna get my own. I'm gonna go to God. And when you don't want to fit my program, bye. Go.
Thank you.
You're not needed. You're dangerous. I don't want to bear seed with you. I don't want to sleep with you. I don't want to be your friend. I'm staying away from you. And there's a lot of black women that get it and they love the masculinity that we project. Black men, we project energy. Women receive energy. You see? So now, for the black women who are confused, right? A woman has to lead with 3 phases of love. The first phase of love is informative, right? So she's informing that black man of who he is. She's informing that black man that, yo, look, you get your provision. You're going to be the provider. You're going to be the head of this household. Even if she's Oprah and he's broke, she's going to uplift him through the information. That's the first phase. The second phase is unconditional love. Unconditional. She's loving and she's loving, she's loving, she's loving. Then the last phase of love is tough love, accountability. The problem is a lot of our women are conditioned to lead with the accountability first, and they don't set the table with informative love and unconditional love. See?
This comes off as disrespect and combative.
All the time.
Yeah.
But again, this is why black men need to be in tune with self. And when that woman is argumentative and she want to talk and every 5 minutes she want to get a word in and she just can't shut the fuck up, let her go. Don't beat on her. Don't catch no cases. Let her go. Literally let her go.
Yeah.
And you vet her with your frequency. You vet her with your vibration. I walk in some rooms and I get around certain black women and I start talking. They can't stand me. Good.
Goodbye.
Good. Bye.
Why is that they can't stand you?
Because I just told you, a lot of black women are not used to a black man that has confidence. A lot of black women are not used to a black man who.
Wait. I just want to clarify. You saying that black women can't stand you because of your confidence?
1,000,000%. A lot of them.
I think it's
because hold on, because I'm a nigga, I'm a op, I'm a blood, I'm a fuck boy.
Wait,
I'm a trick.
Who are saying these things?
We're saying what I'm. You got to understand when
that's
this
what
for
I'm
the
asking, because
camera.
I don't.
I got you, but I'm saying it right. So you maybe you understand later, maybe you won't. It's okay.
Well,
I'm
no,
a op.
no. Just hold on one second.
Yeah.
I'm asking questions because we have an audience.
No, for sure.
And I want our audience to understand what you're saying.
They do understand.
No, it's cool. I know my audience. So what I'm saying is that I just want you to like kind of be responsive when I'm asking you, so that we can have clarity when we do our clips. That's all.
The clips that make sense. I mean, I do this all the time. So I'm a op.
Okay, sir.
I'm a blood. I'm a crip. I'm a scammer. I'm a jack boy. I'm a nigga. I'm a rap. I'm everything but a god.
Everything but a man.
And then they use music, right? They use crack in the 80s to break down black communities. Now they're using music, right, as a way to break down the communities. Every time you turn on a song, eat my ass, my butthole is brown, all this, right? Everywhere you turn, it's
crazy. Black
men are the only race of man that gets publicly disrespected by their women
consistently,
like religiously.
Yeah,
you see. So now, when you come around as a black man and you know who you are, and you know you're the leader, you know I'm a god. She's a goddess. I'm a god though. I'm the original man. I'm not here to tell you who I am. I'm him.
Treated accordingly.
And if you don't understand, it's not for you. It's not to be understood. And a lot of times, black men, masculinity is application, not advocation.
With everything that you believe, do you think that we have to re-educate the black woman?
Hell no. Absolutely not. Listen, Noah's Ark, the ramp is up. And it's gonna rain, and a lot of sisters are gonna drown. Bye. Let me tell you something. I just told you in the beginning. Look, the greatest soldier in the white man's army is the black woman. It's a lot of black women. Listen, it's a lot of brothers that lost their lives, that literally died, wasted time trying to build. Listen, did everything right. Got married, babies, listen, everything. And the woman set him up, got him killed, and took the money and ran with a Chinese man. You feel me? So, black men need to have confidence. Listen, you know how beautiful you are? 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 I know I look good. I'm not sitting here, shorty, there's a door that way. Beat it.
I love it.
And let me tell you something. And that's a scary thing, right? Because that's the accountability, right? Because if you listen, how can I have a family with you? How can I think about it? Listen, you want to dress like a whore, you want to wear the pants, you don't know when to shut up, you have no wisdom, you're not a nurturer. I gotta take care of everything. You got a rouster. Yo, what am I? Are you crazy? I'm cool. If I get sick, you ain't got soup for me. If I'm on fire, you won't even pee on me. I'm equivalent to this cup holster that she's having right here.
Another slave.
I'm cool. She can go.
Thanks.
Fuck that.
I think you can re-educate.
Let me tell you something. You got women, right? You got some women, like real shit, that hate black men. You hate everything about me. I'm a god. I'm beautiful. So you mean to tell? I'm not saying you. Don't make it personal. I'm saying I'm generalizing, right? And black men need to have that.
That's part of the problem. You're saying black
It's not a problem. It's not a problem at all.
The problem is no. No, we are semantics.
Because a lot of black women say black men all the time.
No.
My name is Smart, not Sir.
Okay, Smart.
Thank you.
The thing is that in making generalizations, you use and you said you're a wordsmith, right?
Speaking how I want to speak.
Understood. But
Okay.
You're saying you're not using you're using generalizations, right? But generalizations don't apply to all. So I think the reason why
Only a hit dog is gonna holler.
Okay.
I agree.
My name is Smart, not Sir.
All right, he's a little bit abrasive. He actually reminds me of Gassed Him Up, to be honest. He kind of sounds like Gassed Him Up, and he's his points are kind of similar. And before the potential nonsense begins, Let me just say that he's not saying anything that some haven't said on the panel before. That basically you have to vet these women, and that there's bad women out there, and you got to just let them go, let them be. You know, so I just want to put that out there because I know there's a sensitivity when black men start talking about black women being held accountable. So before the shenanigans begin, let me just point out he's basically saying a lot of what has been said by some on the panel before. With that said, let me start with Oni for this one. Oni, what say you?
Yeah, so basically I started noticing, I'm like, yo, this is the black Andrew Tate, you know? like he just, I don't know, but I would say that woman, well, at first I was thinking the woman had no self-control because she like cut him off pretty early, but eventually I think she exercised a little bit of self-control because I don't know, he just started getting belligerent and shit. I thought this clip was going to end with him fighting and some shit. He was just a little bit too hyped. One thing I did want to point out was that you got to notice a dude doesn't have a ring. You know, I think definitely vet your women. Definitely leave if she does not meet your qualifications. However, in saying that, you also have to meet a woman that gets your qualifications. You can't just leave every woman. You know what I mean? You can't just leave every woman. You have to settle down with one, and then settle down with one. Now, obviously, she has to meet your qualifications, but like you can't be lecturing people on, oh yeah, this is how relationships, blah 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 blah, and you can't settle with any of them, because obviously, she's not the only problem, and that's the thing I noticed. Like the thing you're gonna notice about America. And particularly in America, obviously. But I think it's really the West, because the white man has the same problem. Except for the white man, he marries women regardless. Even if he has a bad relationship, he still... Because I'll tell you this, matter of fact, I'll start off with this. I got coworkers who married for 50, 20, 30 years or whatever, right? And they ugly as a motherfucker. Like, they just... like, I tell you, sometimes, because it's like a remote job, so they might slip on... They might forget to put on take off their camera. And you just seeing like the most rotund, most Pac-Man looking ass white woman, and she's married for she's a grandmother with multiple kids, and you realize, oh okay, like they don't have the same kind of standards that we might have, and I think you should have standards. I mean, pause on the guy calling all the guys beautiful or whatever, but he's not a bad looking dude, right? This is not a bad looking woman next to him, right? White folk. When they 50 years, whatever, they not because they old or nothing, they just never were good looking. Put it that way. But anyway, my thing is, I mean, this comes back to a lot of kind of backwardness. I'll put it this way: you worried about? I think I wrote it down right here. It says the man worried about women disrespecting him, but he's sitting around, like being disrespectful with women in a sense. Or I would even say, I originally wrote debating women, but but like realistically, just sitting around disrespecting women, like of course, like you're gonna get what you put out. You have a bunch of nonsense in your head. Oh, well, the Woody Lynch letter, which is not real, right? Or blah 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 blah. And then you're kind of overconfident with bashing women. You're not supposed to spend your time bashing women. The reality is this: a lot of women are going to be prostitutes, just like a lot of dudes are going to be, gangbangers. I can't remember. Matter of fact, I think Harsh Reality said, I don't remember who put up. No, I think somebody else put up some hip hop video. I don't remember who it was, but it was like some hip hop artist, and all you see is a bunch of young boys standing around, thin as fuck, but like with handguns. Standing around in their mother's living room with their shoes on. You know what I mean? These are not quality dudes, but I'm not. But if a black woman is sitting around talking about how all black men do is stand around in their mother's living room with their shoes on and handguns, thin as fuck, it don't make no damn sense. Because most black men ain't doing that shit. Now you can find tons of black men who are, tons of black men down with the gangbang. You can find tons of black men like that, but you can't you can't sit around complaining about you can't find a good black man because a bunch of black men are doing some bullshit. Because it doesn't make any damn sense. There's a whole bunch of black men not doing that. Same with black women. I mean, a lot of black women are going to be on that prostitution tip. You know, a lot of black women are going to be on that prostitution, independent, blah, 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 on that negative tip. But you, as a grown damn man, sitting around talking about that's what black women are on. No, man, you gotta peep that black women are on that, but then find you a woman who isn't. You know, just like you know, just like how as black men, we all know there are a bunch of low down, you know, no good black, you know, black gangbangers, but we don't hang around that. You know what I'm saying? We don't. I mean, I personally don't associate with them myself. You know, I know that they exist. I mean, like when I'm in Brooklyn, I could go down to Brownsville, and yeah, you could see the motherfucking thugs, sitting around in the apartment building, slinging cocaine, crack, whatever. I'm not going looking for them brothers. You know, only time I look for those brothers is if I'm trying to push my own. You know, like back in the day, I had an event. You know, I used to like put up flyers in the Brownsville apartments, and of course, the next day they ripped them down. But that's the only time. That's the only interaction. Is like, you know, I show up like the Democrats. You know, whenever I want something. You know, if I want somebody to vote for me, that's what I would do. But I'm not, you know, I'm not hanging around, chilling, you know, sitting on the corner, you know, trying to form relationships, like deep, meaningful, intimate relationships with a bunch of people, with people just off of thing. And I mean, it might not sound good, but you know, that's a survival tactic. You know, and I think men have to practice that, and women have to practice that. But you sitting around, you know, demeaning all women, it doesn't add up. Sure, a lot of women are going to be on the negative tip, regardless, whatever country you're in. Here in Tanzania, you can find prostitutes easy. Okay, if you want to, you can find prostitutes easy. The whole thing is, but like you see, I mean, I don't know if y'all see what I do, but what I do is I find a good woman. And that's it. End of search. You don't got to start. I don't find a good woman and start talking shit about other women. That's stupid. All you got to do is find a good woman. And here's the truth. When I was in Brooklyn, I dated a lot of good women. A lot of good women. The last one I was with, she was from Haiti. And she was a little older than me, but you know, beautiful dark skin. And the reality is that the reason why we broke up was she was like, oh, well, you're going to be in Africa and I'm going to be in another country or some shit like that. You know what I mean? But that's it. Like you could find good women. So you being a grown damn man complaining about women, and then not even having found a woman on top of that, yeah, you're tricking yourself. You're clowning yourself. And you're gonna make yourself miserable, and you're bringing other people with you. And you know, nobody really got time for that. You know, the woman, I thought originally she didn't have good self-control. But like eventually, I don't know. She might have just been scared, low key, because the dude, and that's the thing I wanted to say. Just long story short. A lot of times, the women are not that good in America, but the men are not that good either. And a lot of times, the men and the women, the miserable people, the people who are not that good, don't see it in themselves. And that's where the problem becomes. You know, like when a woman is like a misandrist, she don't like men. She's not that good a person either way. But it is what it is. That's it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's something in that doesn't jive with me well. I think, again, I think whenever, and by the way, shout out to the Harsh Reality Podcast, D-Web out there in the chat. I think a lot of things are often overlooked in this dating game situation. The idea that there's a lot of good women, that might very well be true, but are they in your wheelhouse? Are they of your preference? And what is good anyway? Right? Well, what exactly is a good woman, right? Because, and again, I know people will say I'm knocking on women again, but I'm not. There's just something you could look out here and see. You will find educated women, educated black women, nurses, doctors, teachers, and they're hanging around with some hood dude. And when you ask him why, oh well, he's just more fun. And I don't really see black men of certain status. I don't really see them doing that. Right? At best, a man like what I just described of those women, at best he might have a side piece who's like a little hood chick. At best, but you don't really see that like that. So for me, I don't know if we're being completely honest with the picture that's going on here. I'm not saying that the guys is correct, even, to be honest. But I think this notion of there's so many quote unquote good women. I don't know. Just like I wouldn't say there's so many quote unquote good men out there. But that's just me. Let me hear what Black Steel has to say.
So this is my thoughts. First of all, I am sick and tired of the black woman gender war. It's so exhausting. At this point, I am a conscientious objector to the black woman gender war. I refuse to fight on moral grounds. But anyways, I'm gonna address it because he was being very argumentative, very aggressive. But I was able to pick out some of the points he was making. One of the points he was making about really boiled down to the woman getting on your plan, on your program. You set the program for your relationship. If she want to be on board, fine. If she want to deviate from it, fuck her. I totally agree with that. Sometimes we spend so much time trying to convince people of our worth. And something else he said about black women hate black men. And I know he's generalizing. There's a lot of self-hatred in black people. Black people definitely have low racial esteem. And a lot of that comes from being in an anti-black world. So something Fanon said, and I always remember this, Frantz Fanon said, the oppressed are always made to believe the worst about themselves. So black women think the worst of black men. Black men think the worst of black women. So when a black man messes up, oh, these niggas ain't shit anyway, right? A black woman messes up, man, all these hoes ain't shit, you know? So we're just regurgitating the anti-blackness that we have been bombarded with as a people for centuries. Let's just be honest. And that has trickled down into our mating and dating relationships. I see some of these, and I don't date men, I date women. So I hear what some women say about black men. And these could be people who are chronically online. I don't think they're outside. Like the kids say, touch grass. Some people need to touch grass, but some of the chronically online people, oh, black men are the absolute worst. They don't take care of their kids. They're abusive. They're black femicide. They're killing black women in droves. None of that is true, right? It's so funny how you can say black men are the worst men and white people are literally right there. White people have committed genocide on every populated landmass on Earth. We were just talking about deadbeat dads. White people have created entirely new ethnic groups of people just by raping the women and killing the men. That's not something that black people, African people, have done. You can't say that African people have gone to other continents and killed in the name of Ogun, killed in the name of Shango. We haven't done that. But white people, and I'm including Arabs with the white people, so some of these white Arabs, they've gone and killed in the name of Allah. They definitely killed in the name of Jesus, heathens and all sorts of stuff. But yet black people, black men get characterized as the worst men. Same thing for white women. We always laugh at Dr. Umar. He's a little bit exaggerated, but it's crazy to me how black men sometimes pedestalize white women. I'm pointing at white women in particular, because white women used to get black men hung from trees by their lies and their deception. white women are lockstep with white men when it comes to their racism and their brutality. But yet you got black men who say, hey, if it's not snowing, I'm not going, you know? So that mentality that so many of our people have, to where we put other races on a pedestal. So this black man, true as he is, you know, he's expressing a love of self that a lot of black people find uncomfortable. They do. They find it uncomfortable when we don't buy into these negative health-hating stereotypes. So I see that. He's really pushing back from that. So he's saying, if you're a black woman, you don't want to get on with my plan, fuck you. If you're a black woman who has internalized self-hatred issues, maybe deal with that first, because that's going to replicate itself. That's going to replicate in your interrelationships. That's going to replicate itself how you deal with your children, how especially your sons. It's really a very slippery slope, a domino effect. So I understand the point he's trying to say, and the point he's making. If you're not gonna get my program, fuck you. Get out of here. I don't need you. And there are some black women, you know, the sister trying to play dance. She'll know what he's talking about. But there are some black women who hate your black ass. Yes, there are. You know, they've been hurt by their fathers, by the men in their lives, and that hate has expanded itself. You know, we were just talking about online. These crazy feminists talk about is, you know, whether you rather be alone with a man or a bear. And I choose the bear. Like, because at least with a bear, he'll just kill you. You know, it's just the idea that men are inherently violent, right? And what's not being said is black men, right? Because when they never get on white men the way they get on black men, right? For some reason, again, back to the swirl of divestors, they always put white men at a pedestal. White men can do no wrong. But if a black man forgets to pick up his kid on time, oh, these black men are terrible. They don't take care of their kids. They're the reason the community is falling apart. You know, they're all other bullshit. So I think what this brother is, I think he needs to, you know, ignore what he hears online. But I do think the idea of dealing with women who you're in alignment with is a very important thing. Too many times we as men try to convince people to like us, or, you know, things like that. I always say I don't chase nobody. If you try, if I had to chase you, that means you're running away from me. I don't want to do that. So, you know, I gleaned, you know, some information from this conversation. I've talked too much. I'll leave it there.
No. You were right on point with that. I like to add too what I think he's also getting at, but it's several points away, is that we don't need to make the dating game more and more complicated because of worsening attitudes. I think that's an important thing too. This idea that there's so many people out there. Yeah, there's 8 billion people in the world, but are you gonna meet all 8 billion? No. You're in a particular place, let's say Buano, who's in Nassau right now. You're in Nassau right now. There was a time in Nassau, if you blew it with a girl around your age in your neighborhood, that might be it for you in that neighborhood. And why should it have to be? Why should it have to be that way? There should be more and more. What we should be aiming for is creating more and more quality men and women, so that you don't have to go through all this drama navigating, right? There'll still be vetting, of course, vetting for your preferences, but this idea you have to navigate through so much bad to get to a good, that's just not, just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, Buana, what say you to all of it?
Yeah, so what made me laugh at the beginning of this prompt is you had to caveat everyone just in case the conversation devolved into madness. And that was hilarious, by the way. I think that it was good to do that, because this prompt is, let me just first say, I put my caveats too. This is not an attack against no black woman. This is brothers coming together, have an open dialogue, and this discussion is open to women to respond. open to any woman out there who listening to respond to the things and what we say. Let me put that out there first. So there are several things this man there said that kind of stood out to me. One of which is he said that the greatest soldier in the white man's army is the black woman. And I thought about that. And I said that, who would have said something like that, similar to that? Erzuli. Erzuli says that he calls some of these female black women out here state property. And I'm saying, and I'm reminded of a film I watched called The Django, when the character Calvin Candy, the slave owner, his girlfriend was a black woman named Jezebel or something like that. Can't remember exactly what her name was. And I'm saying to myself that there are some things within our community internally that some of these black men, young black men, may have seen or experienced. So there's a reaction to these experiences. There's a reaction to these experiences. And I think that sometimes if you grow up watching, this young man is probably grown up in a world where he's watched programs where it's completely all female women talking about men, talking about discussing different things. Sometimes when these television shows, black or white, when they discuss black men, they really don't discuss them in a very positive light. His environment, he says that when he listens to the radio, all he hears is derogatory things towards black men. But really, one could bring an argument where there's derogatory things towards black women as well. But he makes a statement. He says that all I hear is them saying, "Eat my ass, eat my ass." I'm like, in the cultural climate where we are today, some black men feel like they are disposable. They are just to be used as an ATM machine and for sexual favors. Outside of that, you are useless to black women. I think that he grew up in a generation where it was all about women's empowerment, black women this, black women this, black women this. He said, why can't I be empowered as well? Why can't people talk about me in a favorable light? You know, why is it when I'm mentioned as a scumbag? He mentioned several things in the content. Now, we look at his posturing, right? But if a woman goes in a room and she is boisterous, she is saying certain things in an aggressive manner, or she is posturing in a world full of men, and a man responds to her saying that, you know what'll happen? She is saying, well, don't stifle my don't tone police. Don't tone police my feminist energy. I'm a woman, but it's uncomfortable for when men begin to exert themselves as men, as they should. Now it's like he's getting aggressive with her. That's the words I'm hearing. Why is there a discrepancy in what we see and in terms of what we're talking about it? When he mentioned the term beautiful and he pointed to different men in the room, why can't black men create words and narratives and how they view themselves? What is wrong with telling another black man he's beautiful? I know in the Western world we're so homophobic. We are very homophobic, but beauty is not a gender-specific word. Beauty could be used for anything. You know, beauty could be used for any gender. We put gender a gender specificity to the word beautiful. You know what I mean? Muhammad Ali used to say, I think Ben used to say Muhammad Ali was beautiful when he used to fight. He's a beautiful man. Nothing is wrong with saying that. In the world that we live in, that's backwards. I think that his responses too, her responses in particular, first of all, she cut him off several times in him talking. She was drinking her wine. And she was trying in her really indirect way to check him, to put him back in his proverbial place. Because I think many of us have pedestalized some women who may not necessarily deserve it. So in our pedestalizing some of these women, they don't think that they are our equals. They think they are better than some men, in particularly black men. They think they are better. And the system where they are trying to create this narrative of divide and conquer, they have militarized this divide between our relationship. the black man's relationship and the black woman's relationship, and they have promoted her and pedestalized her as well. So there's a divide and conquer, because at the end of the day, if the black woman and the black man can't get along with one another, then the family is destroyed, and you're done, and you're done. When the family is destroyed, when the black woman says, I really don't have nothing to do with him, and the black man says the same thing about the black woman, you are done. You are done. Talk about an extinction plan. You know what I mean? So I think that these kinds of conversations need to be had in the room. I think that we have had narratives, many narrative programs where women talk about black men all the time. For the longest time, black men used to not respond. And I think that young black men are getting platforms where they are responding in kind to their experience, their personal experiences, to the environment in which they live. And I feel like there's uncomfortness for this so-called, for a lot of feminists out there, for a lot of people who can't take the narrative of manliness or masculinity, in particular black masculinity. That's something that the Western world is uncomfortable with. And unfortunately, some of our women who are part of the Western world are uncomfortable with that narrative. Because first of all, they've not necessarily seen it or lived in their own houses and growing up. You have generations of women who raising generations of women who raising generations of women who haven't seen a dominant masculine man in a house for generations. So they wouldn't even know what to do with a man like this. They wouldn't even know what to do with an individual like this. You know, like I say, I don't want to tone police the man, because if the shoe was on the other foot, we would say the same kinds of things as well. We would say this, they would say the same time, and it's not us against them. It's not a gender war. I think that we should listen more or less to his content as opposed to how he says it. I think it's important to listen to the content of what he says as opposed to how he is expressing it. How is it expressing it? Everyone has a right to express themselves, and I think that we shouldn't. I think that we should just sort through the things and what he is actually saying. He is our junior. So this is mine is coming up as a response to the environment that he has been raised in. I'm not saying he speaks for every man, but I'm saying that he has an opinion that we need to talk about and not ignore or pretend like he being a misogynist or he being anti-female. There's things contextualized what he would have said that if you saw through, you would see that there's some real things in what he was saying. So I'll leave it there.
Well stated, Buana. That's what I was trying to get across. I think some of us have a stance that we stick to, and we don't open our eyes and ears or what have you to some fine points that are being made. And I think that's kind of what's happening. And this is not the first time we've seen this on Shoot the Breeze, but I think that's what's kind of happening here. You know, the black woman is beyond reproach. And so immediately this guy becomes a bad guy. And I think we got to grow up. We got to grow up. We have to start listening to some things that are being said and weigh them. Sometimes we got to investigate what's being said as opposed to just jumping on it because we have this strict, this strict belief, or whatever. Shout out to Bakari out there saying the black woman is God. Absolutely. God can be questioned, is my point. Harsh Rowdy Podcast says, I think the issue is, where is his queen? You're an alpha projecting alpha energy, then lead by example. That's the biggest issue with many in the manosphere realm. I could actually agree with that. Just because he doesn't have a ring on doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't have a woman at home. It doesn't mean that he's not even married too, by the way. So we should keep those things in mind. Does anyone here have any last thoughts on this prompt?
Yeah, so I wanted to say this. So I think, it's really about being consistent, I would say, in the sense of this. Andrew Tate would say the exact same thing, but
And the thing is that you can have valid points. I think the normal phrase is that a broken clock is right twice a day. You know, it's not to say that, you know, black women are perfect. Obviously, they're not. But it comes back to, is this dude even the dude we're talking about? Like I think you pointed out, is the guy a doctor? Is he a lawyer? Is he? And I'm not saying doctors and lawyers are good people, but you were saying this dude could probably be a hood dude himself. So it's like, you know, if we're trashing hood black women, this is a hood black man. You know, and the whole like when Bwana says, oh, if a woman were doing what he was doing, no. And here's the thing, it goes two ways. Once upon a time, at least 15 years ago, if a woman were doing what he was doing, we call her a bitch. Now nowadays, people try not to call women bitches, although realistically, hood dudes call women bitches all the time. Hood dudes call black men, you know, the N-word all the time. You know, and in fact, he was sitting there saying, hey, look, I'm an N-word, I'm a Crip, I'm a Blood, I'm a Thug. And the woman is sitting next to him like, who the fuck is calling you that? But the reason, and the reality is like this guy right here, this guy don't look like he's on that time. I don't know, right? Nobody called, like for you look at me, I'm walking around, nobody ever called me, well, maybe an N-word, I don't know. But nobody ever called me a Blood or a Crip, obviously. Yeah, nobody ever called me a thug. Nobody called me and so forth. The guy in the purple shirt doesn't seem like anybody calls him that shit either. Maybe the other guy does in the jacket, and of course this guy, right? But the whole thing is that, you know, it's I don't know. I think it's a biblical phrase where it's like, don't something needle in your eye, some shit. I don't know. But the whole thing is that if we're, you know, if a hood woman was sitting around being abrasive, being loud, being rude, telling us how there's a bunch of black men who are this, blah, 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 we would be dismissive of her. Even if what she said has a grain of truth, we would say, but nobody's really looking for you. Look how you don't have a ring on your finger. You talking all this shit about black men, you don't got nothing on your finger. Nobody wants to marry you. Like say what you want about the sister. She had a ring and she's proud of it. And like Coco just said, the guy could be married, the guy could be in a relationship, but he still goes out in the world and does not present himself as if he's married to another, to a woman. Whereas this woman, I don't know if she's married to a black man. I hope she is, right? But she is saying out loud, "Look, I'm a married woman," and that's the whole point of marriage. The whole point of marriage is to declare to the world, "Hey, look, I'm, you know, somebody's took me," and you're not supposed to try to, you're not supposed to, you know, well, I might have a secret wife, I might have a secret family. That's the whole problem with the black community. Or not the whole problem, but what I'm saying is that that's a problem in the black community, having secret families.
Is that really the point of marriage?
Sorry, come again?
Is that really the point of marriage? To let everyone know that you're married? I disagree with that heavily.
Well, not the whole point, but like one of the reasons why you would get married as opposed to just cohabit is to publicly say, this is my woman and I'm somebody's man. You get what I'm saying? Because one thing you don't want to do is have, you know, relationships with another man's woman. Or you don't want to have relationships, or you don't want somebody having relationships with your woman. You know? You want to like the thing that marriage does is that you go to the state level. You announce in newspapers. You announce on the public record, these two individuals are together. You know, me and somebody else are together in a relationship that is that's more important than any other relationship that we have. You get what I'm saying? You're supposed to announce to the world that you are in a relationship, that nobody should be coming after you on any sort of sexual tip. That's if we don't come with that mentality of, hey, look, I'm a proud husband, right? Like I'm a husband of somebody, right? Or I'm a wife of somebody. Yeah, one thing is that the reason why you wouldn't do that is if you were trying to sleep around. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but one of the reasons why people don't do that is if they're trying to sleep. Like it's like, oh, I'll hide my ring. Well, what are you hiding your ring for? You know, you don't want people to judge you based on the fact that you married. You know, so my thing is that like obviously, you know, your marriage, and here's the thing, really, if we're going into the science, your marriage is supposed to be where you're supposed to have sex. Okay, you should, like I said, if you're not going to fornicate, the only way you're not going to fornicate is if you're having sex in your marriage. But a lot of us are not even on that time of having sex in our marriage, and that's why that's really where we're in parallel. So the other thing I wanted to point out, the main thing I wanted to point out was when he says, "Well, the black woman is the ultimate weapon." No, that's not even remotely true. You were already kidnapped by the time he's messing up your family. Your family structure is not going to change the fact that you was kidnapped. You know, your family structure is not going to change the fact that you are in a foreign land. And you turn around and saying, "Well, I blame the woman for." No, you can't blame the damn woman next to you for why when you both kidnapped, when you both in prison. Like that don't make no damn sense. Like blaming the other prisoner. You know, no, the reason why you in prison is because somebody imprisoned you. The reason why you enslaved is because somebody enslaved you. So you turn around looking at the other slave, looking at the other prisoner, right? Especially if you ain't doing nothing wrong, looking at the other prisoner, looking at the other enslaved person and saying, "Well, you're the fault, you're the problem." That's where it doesn't add up. And so, yeah, this woman or this man, what I'm saying is that if there were a parallel example, you know what we call about the double standard. If there were a woman talking all this bullshit about black men, sitting there being abrasive, being rude, so on and so forth, you know, being basically Andrew Tate, basically. If there were a woman doing all this bullshit, we would say something wrong with her. But then because she's, you know, but it's like we not. It's like for some reason it's like, and I understand it because once upon a time black women were very disrespected in popular media, and then there was a pushback on that, and maybe it was pushed back a little too far, where it was like you can't critique black women in some circles, right? And then you know, like a lot of times that's what happens. There's like a loss of balance, you know, where and that's just a normal thing in especially in America, where cultures shift left and right. But the reality is that the dude wasn't the upstanding good black man that makes it so that you could say that, you know, that you could say all this stuff. If he were that, the married guy with the good career, the good whatever, and he was like, well, it's, but see, if he was doing all that stuff, it's like the old phrase goes, those who can't do teach. You know, if he were, or like somebody else says, if somebody's teaching you how to make a bunch of money online, it's a scam, because if somebody knows how to make a bunch of money online, they're just making a bunch of money online. Like me, I can't go and talk shit about a bunch of how bad black women are, because I got a good black woman. And so anybody who's talking how bad black women are, they just don't have they just don't have it. They don't have the risk. They don't have it. They're probably not a good black person. Pretty much. That's what they'll say. Ranting.
Anybody else want to add to what Oni said?
I think that Oni I think that he said some extreme things, but he says that if anyone says, I think what I'm hearing, and I could be wrong, is he's saying that if it's anyone who is critical of black women, they're a bad person. I mean, maybe maybe I'm speaking out of turn in saying that, because he didn't say that, but that's what I'm hearing. And I think that the problem with that is, I think that there needs to be a space where we could speak honestly with one another based on our experiences. And I think that when you tell black men to shut up and just accept it, because indirectly that's really what you're saying. Shut up and just accept it, their personal experiences and encounters, which seemed, you know what you are. This is the reason why you have these narratives now where there's a growing community of angry men, because they are not being allowed to really vent or express themselves. Because whenever you have an opportunity to, there's someone pointing the finger at you saying, "Shame on you." Shame on you for being even critical. For you, the only problem I have is the criticism shouldn't be so open and public to the rest of the world. But you're living in a society right now where technology has globalized the world. So where these discussions should be having private spaces among one another, I think that we are able to see these things right now because you're living in a technologically globalized world, and all these things you could watch in your living room. But the critiques that we should have with one another should be done on the basis where it should be done privately. But I'm saying that from where I stand is I don't feel like Black men has opened that door. That door was opened by the ushering in of this whole feminist, let's get Oprah and all these other women on stage to critique and talk lowly and talk in a ridiculous manner about the people who sleep in their bed every day. The people they grew up around. Oprah. One of the big, well, I ain't gonna go there. I ain't gonna go there. I just think that these kinds of these honest conversations need to be had in spaces where we could share along with women, and women could share along with men, and we could be completely honest with one another rather than avoiding certain truths, based on our personal experiences. Because I think that when you sweep things under the rug, they manifest themselves in a different kind of way and manner. But I'll leave it there just to be brief.
All right. I was waiting to see if Black Steel wanted to add anything. We're making good time. We'll end the show at 11. You know what we'll do? We'll go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 4 now, so that we could keep our time here. Shoot the Breeze topic number 4 says, instead of trying to commit murder, why not practice semen retention? This came with a link that's taking us to YouTube. We'll watch the video and then we'll discuss.
New developments in the case of a father convicted of trying to murder his newborn daughter. He told police he put antifreeze in the child's milk because he did not want to pay child support. A judge sentenced that father to 50 years in prison. Judge Taisha Fernandez is live in South Fulton, where she spoke to the lead detective in this case exclusively today. Taisha, this was a tough case for investigators, and I know for you as well to cover today.
It was tough for everybody. Many of the investigators, Karen, are parents themselves. I'm a parent myself. So everyone has just been disgusted by this father's actions, especially because he appeared to have some remorse, confessed to police, but then took it back. Today, I had the privilege to talk to the child's mother. She's not ready to talk about the conviction just yet, but she did tell me the child is doing okay.
It hit home because it was an 18-year-old baby.
South Fulton Police Sergeant Serta Dickerson was the lead detective on this attempted murder case back in 2020. He said seeing this newborn poisoned by antifreeze was tough.
With our job, we have to really tap into 2 different places. We have to do our job. We also have to be empathetic with the parent. So it kind of hit home based off of us trying to figure out who done it and what the motives were.
It all started when Curtis Jack got his coworker pregnant. She told police Curtis tried to get her to terminate the pregnancy for the entire 9 months. Once she had the baby, she had to stay in the hospital. So she told the father to come pick up breast milk from her and take it to the baby at the grandmother's house. Curtis told police he put antifreeze in the milk because he didn't want to pay child support.
That could have killed that child.
Yes.
It didn't. But once Curtis was indicted and faced several charges, including attempted murder, he took back his confession. So detectives and the DA's office had to work even harder to make sure the case was solid and they got a conviction.
It's beyond just getting a confession. We still have to prove that the person actually committed the crime. I mean, you still have to prove that the person is guilty.
Detectives were so confused by the motive in this case because they said the father had a good paying job and the mother does too. I also want to mention this. Police say Curtis Jack was engaged to another woman at the time all this was happening, so that may have played a role in this attempted murder. We're live in the city of South Fulton. Taisha Fernandez, Channel 2 Action News.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. In the chat, Black Seal said, "My God," with exclamation point. That's a crazy story. But Oni says something in the chat that I gotta ask about this. He says if a black woman started talking shit about this man in this story, we tell her she's overreacting. I don't know where you get that from. I don't know what you're talking about, to be quite frank. In fact, we'll start with Oni. Oni, what say you to the story and this comment you put up here?
No, I'm saying that if somebody were like, "Hey man, you see how black man, like a black man, he would pull antifreeze just to avoid child support," you'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about? This is one individual, you know, this is one rare individual who put antifreeze to whatever." But I'm actually, this issue hits home for me. Not that I ever, gave a kid antifreeze, but but this issue hits home for me. I mean, once upon a time when I was younger, I did, mess around with some random woman, and I thought I might have impregnated her. And I then asked, I was like, what can I do if I'm pregnant? I don't want to spend no 18 years paying child support for some woman that I, one night stand. And of course, it comes back to, you lack human retention. And I sat next to this white guy, right, on a train, and I decided, let me talk to a random white guy because, I never really talked to them or nothing, right? And he said, you should kill her. And I was like, the fuck? like random, but, it is what it is. But my thing is, it's a random white guy. And I don't know if because he thought, well, you messed with a black woman, so obviously, you should kill her. But why does dude say I'm feminist? But anyway, but the whole thing is, men really don't have anything they can do. Like in America, a man is forced into child support. Not necessarily forced, because you would still say, well, you had the child with the woman. But he's pretty much forced into child support, and there's really nothing he can do about it. Now, obviously, the only thing he can do, well, there's three things he can do. Obviously, he can murder the mother, he can murder the child, or he can pay child support. You know what I mean? Obviously, murder is going to get him, probably going to get him murdered or get him losing his life. So, if he's not trying to take that route of forcing her to an abortion, he's screwed. So, and obviously it's easier said than done to tell a dude, stop having sex with random women. But that's really where it comes down to, because like I said, if you look at this dude, one, he's poisoning a child. He's poisoning a baby, right? Two, he's cheating on his fiance, right? Three, he's an old ass dude who whatever. But and four, he's sleeping around at his fucking job with his coworker. There's so many things wrong, and of course he's gonna tell you. He'll tell you, hey man, you can't find a good black woman. Yeah, of course. Of course you can't. If you're on that fuck shit, if you're literally engaged to some woman and you sleeping around. The point is that again, we have a fornicating culture. Okay, we have a fornicating culture. Once you have a fornicating culture, the reality is this: you are cooked regardless of what you do. But I'll put it this way though: in Tanzania, you don't have to pay child support. Okay. Like I said, I've been telling people that, Tanzania is like the stereotype we think of African Americans, right? Except for that African Americans cook much better. But like they always late and they don't, like the men don't pay no damn child support. But because in America you are forced to pay child support, yeah, you're probably gonna think about, well, this could ruin my life. You can't just walk away. Like I don't know if you could walk away in the Caribbean, but a lot of countries you probably just walk away as a man. And just leave the kid, whatever. But long story short, yeah. Sorry, wait, what is the question here? Oh, instead of trying to commit, why not practice swimming? Yeah, you should. But again, because you're in a fornicating culture, it's very unlikely. What we had to do, like the solution for black folk was to have acted very early on. Like I keep saying at age 14 when I'm talking about marriage. Not because I think that a 14-year-old should marry, but because we as black fathers should be serious about getting our children
ready for marriage by the time they're 14. One thing, I like the small hats. I heard about them a long time ago. You know, I have neighbors like that. Back in America, I had neighbors like that. But one of the things that I heard about them was that they have initiation, I think bat mitzvah or something like that. And what they do for their kids is that they say, oh, well, now this kid is a man because he's like, he just hit puberty or whatever, or bat mitzvah or whatever. Basically, it's, I'm not going to say it's an African tradition or something like that, or that they blah, 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 blah. But what I'm going to say is this. They, for what it's worth, you peep a little bit of game from these people, right? They say, you're a man at this age. They give their kid, a shitload of money. Well, not a shitload. They give the kid, some money. And then they say, go out in the world or whatever. Or here's, you got to perform yourself like a man. We don't have that, generally speaking, in the Black community. We are, we don't have that, okay, now you're a man. Okay, here's what you should do. Here's how you should have a relationship. This dude, look how old he is. He has a fiance all of a sudden, right? And he's a fiance and he's still sleeping around with his damn coworker. There's so much. If you were to sit back and analyze him from a true African paradigm, the motherfuckers like him, his generation, the people generally are lost. So it's like, yeah, you can make certain, critiques and certain criticisms, but realistically, it was 15 years ago he should have had a solution for his relationship life. 15 years ago. He's just the result of 15 years of neglect. And you're not going to save him. Just like the man earlier, you're not going to save him. The woman, for what it's worth, she's married. We don't know if it's a good marriage or bad marriage, but for what it's worth, she's married. The dude, you're not going to save him. It's him against the world, and you're never going to win. You're never going to win. That's it.
I appreciate that. Only let's welcome in our boy Kofi, the Black Critic, this week. Kofi, how are you?
How you doing? Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I came into the conversation late, so I'm just enjoying the convo. So I'm just here for the rest of the show. So thanks for having me.
Oh, okay, all right. All right. So just listening to what everyone else is talking about, and maybe you could add something to it at the end. Black Steel, you're up next. What say you?
I don't know what the fuck Only talking about. I don't know what the fuck Only talking about. I'm blowed right now. So I'm gonna make it real simple, man. I like this. I like to condense things down. This man's a piece of shit, okay? And there's no deep sociological study we gotta do about rituals and manhood. He's just a piece of shit. I remember I was growing up, I used to like to look at The Simpsons, right? There was an episode of Simpsons where they found this elephant. And the elephant was an asshole, right? So they thought the elephant was just being, mean because he was in captivity. So they found the elephant a nice little sanctuary where he could go and be among other elephants. And he's headbutting the other elephants. And Lisa Simpson says, I thought he'd be happy with other elephants. And the guy says, elephants are a lot like people. They have feelings, they have emotions. But some elephants, just like people, are just jerks. Some people are just psychopaths. For you to take a baby and feed it antifreeze because you don't want to pay child, you are a psychopathic man. That's it. There's no need to have a deep introspection about culture. He's a fucking psychopath. Period. That does not mean that all black people, and I don't think any black person, unless he's the greatest incel or black woman hit of all time, would take the side of a man who would literally try to poison his own child to avoid child support. I have no sympathy for people like this. Are there some men who are falsely put on child support who are victims of women who are just looking to get extra? Yeah, those men exist. This is not one of those men, right? We didn't even say she did put him on child support. He was just scared of the thought that he could be put on child support. So fuck this guy, okay? I don't have anything, as far as semen retention. Yeah, he didn't even got to retain his semen. He already got a woman. He could just have sex with her, but because he wants to sleep with as many women as possible, he wasn't practicing proper dick discipline. He got another woman pregnant. He doesn't want to own up to his as a man. Say, hey, you know what? I fucked up, baby. I cheated. I got another kid pregnant. If you want to leave me, that's fine. It's whatever. Instead of him putting on his big boy drawers and doing what he got to do, he decides to murder a child. And then instead of, just pleading guilty, then he wants to try to take back his confession to fight it in court. Bro, I don't know what lawyer you're going to get to defend you. Look at this fat piece of shit. Anyways, I don't know what lawyer you're going to get who's going to defend you. I mean, he probably got a public defender. Whatever. Someone who has to legally defend him. Maybe get his sentence reduced somehow. But this is not an indictment of black society or black people defending anybody. But yeah, this is just a piece of shit person. And to your point you said about some people would say all men are pieces. That's pretty much standard for black men, right? So whenever a black man does something, all black men are guilty. That's our racial. That's what happens when you live in an anti-black society, right? A white man could do it, and that white man is fucked up. But that white man is in no way representative of all white men, right? But if a black person, oh girl, you gotta watch it. These niggas don't take care of their kids. You gotta be careful because they poisoning babies now. And this just one crazy motherfucker who out here trying to kill his baby. Antifreeze is just so cruel, man. I mean, I really hope they throw the book at this dude. And I know the American justice system isn't the best in the world, but whatever punishment he gets, in my opinion, is not going to be harsh enough, because you really could have done so many other things. You could just own up. Hey, I fucked up, man. I got another girlfriend. I got a baby. I got a great baby. And I'm wrong for that. But he decided to kill a child and poison his own child. Did he even get a DNA test to make sure it was his kid? Maybe it wasn't his kid. But the fact that the very first thing he jumped to was, let me kill this little bastard. This is the person who does not need to be walking around civilized society. Lock him up, hang him, whatever you guys need to feel necessary to do. But make sure he's away from people. I'm glad the baby survived. That kid could have brain damage from ingesting chemicals. Who knows? I'm glad the baby survived. Mom, I'm not gonna blame mom for this, but the dude said he was telling you from the time he conceived that he didn't want this baby. Maybe you shouldn't have had him around your child. He already let you know he didn't want the baby. So I'll leave it there. Thanks.
I appreciate that, Black Steel. I appreciate the passion behind it too. And like the Harsh Shorty podcast, I agree with you. Harsh says just an immoral idiot. Now he gets to look at men for the next 50 years. Guess he doesn't have to worry about child support anymore. With all of that said, by the way, where's Trigger Happy today? He was here earlier, but his presence, his absence is looming. I'll say that much. Shout out to all of you who came through tonight. I appreciate it, each and every one of you. But let's hear from Buana next. Buana, instead of trying to commit, why not practice semen retention? What say you to all of it?
I do agree with Black Steel. He is a piece of shit at his most fundamental level. But we do. I feel like I should do some analysis on this particular topic, because I see a little bit. I may see something else to this story. First of all, the first rule in wherever you get a job is you don't sleep with your work colleagues, man. You are effing up your money. I mean, I know it's enticing. I know people want to do it, but you are messing up your money, because you cannot control that scenario situation unless it's your wife. Do not sleep with your coworkers. That's your standard. That's your standard. Another thing too is, I think that, and I'm not comparing it with this man do to all black men. Most black men are stand-up characters. But what I'm saying is that we need to make the term dick discipline more popular among our ranks. Semen retention needs to be more a popular thing. saying no need to be more okay thing to do. And I think that even if you have an opportunity for sex, I think that men need to understand that you don't say yes to every opportunity for sex. You don't have to say yes to every opportunity for sex. You can't say no and walk off. Yeah, there'll be others. There'll be others. And I think that that needs to be put into the culture. It's being okay to say no, thank you, I'll pass on it, and walk off. Walk off.
Juana,
Yeah.
Juana, real quick. Sorry to
Yes.
interrupt, but you said
Okay.
something important. I just wanted to ask you this quick follow up question. Do you think there's I guess, a stigma in the culture where if a man said no to a woman, he thinks he'll be deemed gay for that? Do you think that plays a part in it?
Sometimes, because some women are vengeful and vindictive, and they can't. The thought of a man telling a woman no is something that is taboo within our community. Because so they'll take that rejection to another level and create a rumor. And we don't like to be shamed, even if it's a lie. So we will try to live up to the nonsense rather than dealing with the shame or the accusation, even if it's a false one. I don't. Like I said, I think that we need to make it more popular within our culture to say no. I'll pass on it. I don't want it. Because you don't jump at every opportunity to say to jump at a woman vagina. And this is not really dealing with him. This is dealing with a greater issue that we have. And in terms of work colleagues, leave that alone. Another thing. This is the last thing I really wanted to talk about is fear. Fear is something that we discussed on the show before, and I think that within our community, in particular black men need to deal with the idea of fear. And I think that Dr. Frances Cress Wilson was talking about this before she died, and even Black Steel mentioned it tonight when in terms of being not wanting to fight the capitalist system or being in fear of fighting the capitalist system. So we play with everything else, but the matter at hand, which is really fighting the capitalist system. That's what he was addressing earlier. I think that fear is something that we really don't really internalize. This man would have rather to cover up, going to tell his woman, listen, sister, I got this woman pregnant. Here's what the deal is. Instead of doing that, he rather turn murderer and get 50 years. He was so afraid. There was a football player called Ray Caruth. I don't know if the brothers remember him. He was so afraid of paying child support. He ended up going to jail for like 20 years. He was thrown out of NFL, went to jail for 20 years, and he has a child right now who is mentally incapable because of the things that he would have done 18 years ago. Could you imagine such a thing? And so this idea of fear, I think that is causes us to do unreasonable things, and I think that we need to contend with the idea of fear. And if we can't do it, pass it on to the next generation in telling them or expressing to them or even showing them how to act and be fearless men, or handling fear within reason. Because if you don't deal with fear or know how to handle fear, you're going to do these ridiculous outcomes will occur. And this is a ridiculous outcome. 50 years? Oh man. But he, like Black Steve was saying, I agree with him completely. He is a piece of shit and he deserves everything that's coming to him. But thank you, Coco. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, no problem with that. Let's check in with Kofi. You heard what people have been saying. I guess you could put two and two together what the story is about. What say you?
Yeah, I did catch. I know what's going on because I said it does look a little bit familiar, but let me not, talk before I know what's going on. But yeah, I did hear of this, and this is not an indictment of black men. Like this guy, like Black Steve was saying, this guy is pretty much a piece of shit. He's a psychopath, right? This is something sad. As like what type a baby, a child, right? As I'm pretty sure we're all fathers here, and from a father looking at that, like really, if I was to unfortunately step out and get a child with another woman, like, hey, I did something. You know, chickens have come home to roost. I gotta take care of that. Nothing would come to mind ever was to kill my own flesh and blood. That's the thing that's unfathomable, like to think. Is like, I mean, there's nothing really much to say. Is that I'm glad that the baby's healthy. There's no side effects because the baby ingested chemicals, and I'm glad the baby's fine. And they just need to lock him up and throw away the key. And there's nothing else for me to add, as far as like what everyone says. But this has nothing. This is not an indictment of black men. This is not an indictment of, oh, don't mess with these black women. That's just fucking nonsense, right? That's just nonsense, right? This is a psychopath. This is just a psychopath person who has no care for innocent life, right? So throw away the key, and I hope he just dies in jail, and hope someone puts something in his commissary food when he's locked up in jail. And that's all I have to say about that.
I appreciate that. You guys make sure to subscribe to Kofi's channel, Kofi the Black Critic on YouTube. Kofi and Buana hit the nail on the head for me, so I don't have too much to add. I'll just say this. Black men, suck it up, buttercup. You get a woman pregnant, man, go stand up and deal with that. Figure out what you got to figure out to make it work as best as you can make it work, and keep it pushing. To want to take out a young black life for your shenanigans, for your fear and all that type of shit, man. Come on. And this is especially true for these youth, because we looked at a story some time back with some youth, a young black male and a young black female, and we talked about something similar, some similar shenanigans. It was like, yo, man, just figure out a plan. If you wasn't serious before you got that woman pregnant, get serious now. And figure out something. Just taking lives and killing babies and stuff, or trying to kill, it's just nonsense, man. With that said, we're going to end at 11. So we'll go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 5, which will hopefully take us into the 11 o'clock hour. I want to thank everyone who has tuned in tonight, everyone who will listen in the playback. Make sure you check out Kofi's channel, Oni. Make sure you check out the Matron, Bakari, and of course the Hash Rally podcast, who's back now too. So make sure check them out. Should read topic number 5 tonight. Says this seems to be the way many women from the diaspora feel. Are they speaking the truth? Let's see. This came with a link that takes us to Instagram. I'll play it a couple times because I don't know. No one knows how to start these reels from the beginning. So I'll play it a few times so we can get the full gist.
I'm going to say it. I have never dated outside of my race ever. I've always been down for the brown. But if y'all see me with an other, I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. And I love my brothers. It's all right. I love my brothers. But I'm saying, am I lying though?
Yeah, just because you are now compatible with somebody, that's why it doesn't mean you don't love
am I lying?
your brothers.
I've been dating black men for 47 years. There's the one white man, and y'all gonna try to talk. No, it's about I gotta stay on my knees about this one.
Right.
The other thing that I can say about black women dating white men, nobody starts there for the most part. We give a lot of chances. Listen, I have never dated outside of my race ever. I've always been down for the brown. But if y'all see me with an other, I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. And I love my brothers. It's all right. I love my brothers. But I'm saying, am I lying though?
Yeah, just because you are now compatible with with somebody, that's white, doesn't mean you don't love
Am I lying?
your brothers.
I've been dating black men for 47 years. There's the one white man, and y'all gonna try to talk. No, it's about I gotta stay on my knees about this one.
Sorry, I'll play it one more time just to make sure everyone gets.
Oh God, no!
No, please. It pains. This hurts. But go ahead, man, if you got to. But this hurts.
No. I'm not playing it again. Yeah. So these are the folks you kind of have to push past. Like Bakari said in the chat, to hell with them, let them go.
Agreed.
Kofi, let me start with you. What say you to what you just saw here?
The fact that they got Lonnie fucking Love on, like, come on, man. Lonnie Love, that's been a die-hard divester, and this is the real. I don't like the real. The real is something that a bunch of white people, divestors and mixers, develop. You have that it's supposed to be a fake representation of diversity. It's like the what's the name of that show with Whoopi Goldberg and all the other one that Barbara Walters started. They get these fake ass black women, right? Out of all the people you could get, they had Eve, the rapper Eve, right? Come up, rapping about black men, my nigga this, my nigga that. She's with a white man. She's married to a white man. Oh, let's put her on the panel, right? And you got a Filipino here, a black person is kind of here. There's always these divestors and these people that black people that, oh, we're supposed to just love everybody instead of you get these die-hard black women like, nah, black, that's it, right? And then you had, I think it was the other girl says, oh, just because you with a white person doesn't mean you with black people. That's kind of like bullshit, and I hate that narrative. I have teenage sons. My sons are like dating. They ask me dating advice. Like this, I said this is bullshit. I hate when people say, which is what they're alluding to. Oh, you can't help who you love. That's fucking bullshit. And I'm a type of person. I'll put myself on the line. I'll put my family on the line. All my brother dates is white women. My brother we didn't raise in a place where, oh, hate white people or black people are horrible. No, he made a choice. So don't tell me you just, oh, what's this excuse? This excuse like, well, I can't find a black woman that has my interests or a certain way. That's bullshit. All you do is bring white women home. So if all you doing is bringing white women home and you're bringing white men home and you so happen to fall in love with them or like them, don't tell me, oh, I can't help who I fucking fall in love with. That's bullshit. For some reason, you have something in you where you're fetishizing or you're pedalizing white people as something more desirable than your own black people. Own up to it. But don't tell me you can't help who you fucking fall in love with. Don't tell me because if you love, like we all have, I don't understand how people have their different definitions of love. If I love something, right? I love that thing and I place nothing above it. So when the other one says, oh, just because you date white men don't mean you love black men. That's an oxymoron. If you fucking love black men, you always be and look for black men. It's very simple. What she mean to say, hey, you can like on black men and pretty much from there, love whoever you want. If you love black men, you love black men. You're not going to entertain being with anybody else. And fucking Lonnie Love, I don't care. You date, okay, fine. Look, I try to put myself in other people's shoes and be like, hey, look, I've been dating. You know, I prefer black men. It's not working out or whatever. Let me try dating a white person. Let me try dating an Asian person. If you want to do that, I'm not one person. You have the right to do whatever you want, but you have to tread very carefully. And I'll try to end with this because I can talk about this all day. If my son asks me, he's like, I said, son, do you think I'm racist? I'm pro-black like a mug, but do you think I'm racist? He's like, no, Dad, I don't think you're racist. I said, if me and your mother were to get a divorce right now and I'm dating, would you see me being with the white woman? He started laughing. He's like, hell no. I was like, wait, because I'm racist? My son said, no, Dad, not because you're racist, because what type of white woman's going to be with a man like you? Being as pro-black, pro-this like you. She could have, and I was like, you're right. She could have all, I'm not saying there's not white women out there that are like that. I don't know. I'm not sure, that I'm pretty sure they are out there. I don't like to generalize, but it'll be hard for me to do that. If I see any of a pro-black, I know this person is pro-black, and I see him coming down the street with a Becky, I'm like, whoa, this must be a very interesting woman. But in our community, we know we have family members and friends and people that would pedalize and fetishize over white people in spite of black people. And that's the problem. If we were in a situation where, like, Asian, I don't think Asian people really have a problem with the Asian person, a Chinese person dating a white person. Because guess what? When that white person marries that Asian person, that white person is not going to take over their culture. They're going to be a part of their culture. And it's going to be like a symbiotic cultural relationship. Niggas ain't doing that. Niggas, if they marry a German, everything is German. They wearing lederhosen, drinking German beer, and all. That's what the niggas going to do. So when it comes to interracial relationship, it is very harmful to us in this day and age due to slavery and post-traumatic slave syndrome. And I'll just end it right there because I can talk about this all day.
No, good stuff. As Buana said in the chat, Kofi going off, LOL. Let me mix it up a bit. Let me hear from Buana next on this one. And before Buana goes, let me just quickly say also, this topic was posted by a woman, by the way. And see how it's written. This seems to be the way many women from the diaspora feel. Are they speaking the truth? So I want to point that out for those of you in the audience. So, Buana, what say you?
I want all the brothers, I hope that when they see this again, look at the reaction of the audience, number one. And the way the lady said what she said, it's like black men are defective. I've seen what I needed to see. So if y'all see me dating, she didn't say the reasons of doing that, but it's implied. It's implied, and it makes it's interesting because this scenario is connected to a conversation we had earlier on this panel when the young man was reacting. A young man sitting in this audience, he is looking at this scenario. So, what is wrong with me? What's wrong with dating me? He is gonna do the calculations in his mind. Oh, black men are bad because this woman on the public airwaves is saying she's done dating black men, and the other black woman they cackling and laughing, and I'm like, why? What is so funny? What is so funny? What's implied is something is wrong with black men. And like I say, the older men could give a damn who she dates. They could give, but I'm saying impressionable minds. Something is said to the young girl who's the viewer. Something is said indirectly to the young man who is the viewer. This is the conversations that I feel that's uncomfortable that we really should actually have because it has an effect within our community. It has an effect. And it's an implied effect. What is wrong with the men you currently have within your community? That's the question asked. And she didn't really expound on it, but she did everything else but do it. She gave all the impressions, all the hand gestures, all the other lady who was the interview, she's on the floor co-signing her nonsense. It's something that everyone should embrace, but we should make fun of. And you are basically destroying the Black family institution on the public airwaves, condemning black men indirectly. And then when the black men have something to say about it, they say you need to shut up and just take the critique. Sit in the corner there and let me chastise you and tell you how you ain't worthy of me, and how we should really divest from you, and you should just be quiet about it. Because if you say something, I can call you a misogynist, an anti-woman. Could you imagine such a thing in this day and time? Well, I can tell you something. The young men are not going to do that. The young men are going to respond to it. Unfortunately, I don't like as Black Steel was saying, I don't like the whole so-called gender war among each other, among ourselves. But I believe that there are some dialogues and conversations that should be had without fear of being called a name, without the fear of being called a name like Miss. Oh, you're practicing misogyny. Oh, why he say it like that? Well, how did she say what she say? How did she say what she say? You know, it's all of a sudden you're throwing police in me, but she can do it and express it and make jokes about it and say anything she want to say. And the whole audience applauds. Let a black man say this. Oh, he's old Uncle Tom, whatever. He finished with, oh, he hate black women. You know, you see how they carry us? I just think that the analysis there should be an equal exchange between two genders, a black woman and a black man. I would say it should be done privately. I don't like this whole public dialogue. Why does the world have to know our private business? Why does the world have to know what privately you have been facing in terms of relationship? Why do you have to put it out there for the world to see and think, well, something must be wrong with the black man? I don't know, man. I just as we as men need to practice semen retention and dick discipline, some of these black women, some of them need to practice emotional retention. Sometimes you gotta hold your tongue. Sometimes you ain't gotta always open your mouth and express everything what's on your mind for the day. Keep it to yourself or deal with it internally. Don't tell it to the whole world. How is because the whole world is gonna respond in kind towards you, your son, your nephews, your whole community will affect with your careless words and actions on this public airways and show. I don't know, man, but I'll leave it there. You know, I want the other brothers to go. I'll leave it alone.
Thank you for that, Buana. Let's welcome in our boy, brother Bakari this week. Bakari, how are you?
Man, I'm great. What's up? How y'all doing?
Good, good. Thanks for coming through.
Yeah, look, oh man, you know what? Bawana asked a question. He said, why is everybody laughing? Everybody's laughing because, man, we have become the laughing stock of the human species, bruh. And that stanky heifer was set up there on TV and say something like that. Then they laugh. That's what we are. But then Dr. Umar, I was listening to him, something he did the other day. He said the reason black men choose white women is because white women get the black men and take care of them when they don't have nothing. They see greatness in them. And the black woman won't do that. It's like the people who claim they fighting, we tend to put other people on a pedestal and we look down on ourselves. So they look down on black men. She been dating black men for 47 years. She want a white man. Let them go. That's how I see it. Just let them go. And when the other brother was talking, he was like, somebody only date white women. They'll say they pro-black. I know somebody like that. Dude, you're not pro-black. Them kids not black. They're mulatto. That don't mean they bad kids, but they're not black. They're mixed. So when they say the mixed child is black, I just go ahead and say that mixed child is white. But that's horrible for that woman and for those black women to sit on there and say that. And the whole crowd is laughing. But it because everybody laugh at us. Man, we the butt of everybody's jokes. Just listen to a black comedian. The reason I don't watch stand-up comedy anymore, man, 2024, black people is still the butt of the joke. Everybody laugh because at that moment, black people was the butt of the joke. Black women laughing, thinking it's the black men that they're putting down. But anybody that ain't black that's laughing was laughing at the black man and the black woman. She saying her man ain't nothing. Obviously, she ain't nothing. How can she think that way about, you understand what I'm saying? So these men, you just got to let people like that go. We have to leave those type of people alone. Just let them be, man. Me, don't give a damn about them. So, when I say the black woman is God, they're not included. When I say protect the black woman, they're not included. They're not included. So, so the hell with them. But Bawana, they was laughing because black people with a butt We're the laughing stock of the human species around the world. We are always the butt of the joke. That's why they were laughing, and that's what's fun. And we're the ones that's cracking the jokes on us 90% of the time. And on that, I yield the mic.
Appreciate that, Bakari. Bakari, I know me and you see eye to eye on that comedian thing. One of the things I noticed since I was young, because I grew up kind of studying comedy and stuff, believe it or not. And I always noticed that black men would be setting up a joke, and the setup might include slavery, Jim Crow, oppression type stuff of black people. And I always was like, but these white folks in the audience are killing themselves laughing. How can you stand up there calling yourself a comedian, talking about something serious that happened to your kind, in front of a bunch of white folks who are laughing their ass off at it? I always found that just fucking disgraceful, But anyway, with that said, let me hear from Oni next. Oni, what's to you?
All right. Yeah. So the real, you gotta watch out for the real. I'm gonna say that. You gotta watch out for the real. I remember, cause see, I could talk shit about black women. Because I had negative experiences with black women. But I could say, when I was married, this woman would come home and watch the real. Even take up, because back in the day you had DVR. You had to record what you wanted to watch. You didn't have to, but you could record what you wanted to watch and watch it later. We wasn't streaming back then, and so yeah, she would fill up my DVR with real episodes. It was late as fuck. But yeah, you gotta, and that's the thing. It's like, what I'm saying is this: except for the fact that these women were kind of doing, these women were not posing to be intellectuals. They were posing to be funny. I didn't see the humor, but maybe somebody faces the humor. I don't know. But they were supposed to be humorous. But what they're doing is they're pretty much the same thing, except for that they're saying, "Hey, look, we giving black men a chance," and then we're not. Although based off this comment right here, he says she's engaged to a black man. So I don't know if the woman even left the community. I think she was just I think with daytime television, it's just there to get women to, let's just say buy products, to buy whatever it is that the advertisers want them to buy, and, keep them, feeling like they're informed without, feeling like they need to be heavy intellectuals type stuff. I would differentiate this from the brother earlier who was like, "Hey, I'm an intellectual," and you're like, "Dude, you're not a fucking intellectual. You're just, you're not. You know what I mean?" But yeah, I don't even know what's the question. It seems to be the way many women. Yeah, that's the thing I want to say, that that's the reason why I tell people leave America, because you're outnumbered, and the white boy has more capital than you, right? If you're trying to be hypergamous in a situation where you're surrounded by richer white folk, right? Your people are in trouble. You're gonna go through what we call a soft genocide, where the white boy is gonna have the pick of the crop. One of the things that people notice, like if you're in New York City, you might see a few, interracial relationships. And what people always point out about interracial relationships is that when a white boy is with a black woman, she look good. Whereas when a black man is with a white woman, she don't look good. They say the white man picks, the black man picks the white man's rejects. And not all the time, obviously not the football players or whatever, right? But, of course there's a reason for that. But anyway, but the other side is that the black man picks the white man's rejects, whereas the white man, he usually picking decent looking black women. Now, granted, if you're a black nationalist, you might be like, "Yo, this is not a woman I would spend my time with at all." She's a Eurocentric piece of shit. But at the same time, it's like, it is what it is. My point is that if you're in a situation where you're a minority, and you're in a situation where other people dominate the economy, the reality is, and this goes back to Martin Delaney. Okay, this goes back to before abolition, right? If you're in this sort of a situation, your people are going to gradually mix with the dominant population. Okay, if you are the dominated population, then you're going to have the two dialogues we both saw, where the black women are sitting around laughing. And I don't know if they were saying that, they weren't even saying much, but pretty much if you could read between the lines, you might say, well, they're probably saying the black man, they gave a black man a chance, and well, now they got to go out, right? But it's the same with the brother, except for he didn't say he was going out, which is good, But I think as a people, realistically, if you having trouble in one country, go to another country. You get what I'm saying? Like, go to another country, because if you don't, you're gonna go to another people, or you're gonna have a bunch of trouble, or you could try to hit the lottery. Because again, I'm not saying that you can't find a good relationship in America, but the trouble with the relationship thing, I tell you, it goes back to the fact that nobody's preparing you to have a relationship. So you're finally coming, and these white boys will tell you the same thing. Like the Andrew Tate type will tell you the same thing. You hit 30, 35, and you're finally able to support a woman. You're finally able to, support yourself. You're 30, 35 as a man. And this is what the Andrew Tate people will tell you. And it's like, that's where it comes back to, because when you go to the Kikuyu, like I said, you're 18 and you can support a woman. Okay? You're 18 and you can support a woman. Here in America, or there in America, you're 35 and you can support a woman. You're 40 and you can support a woman. There's a big difference because now you're 20 years behind. And that's what a lot of us are not really grasping. When you have the whole standard is to be 20 years behind, everything is fucked up. Right? Everything is fucked up. Everything is out of order. But that's what happens. Like I said, it goes back to, well, you got the white man leading you. The reason why he can get your best, he can get your beautiful women is because he's leading you. He's the fucking leader. He's the fucking man. You call him the man. You say that you living in your crib. I think I said it before. The problem with a lot of black people is they are displaced. You're in the fucking wrong place. That's it. When you're in the wrong place, like if I'm in fucking China and I'm trying to have a healthy, good black relationship, it's very unlikely. Now maybe I could bump into a nice black woman, and that's good. And if the black women there are all upstanding and great, that's good. But the reality is that I'm probably gonna fall for a Chinese girl if I'm in China, and you're in America, the largest white country on the fucking planet. But we don't see that. It is what it is.
I appreciate that. Oni, I guess that leaves us, last but not least, that leaves us with Black Steel. Black Steel heard everything everyone else had to say. What say you?
So I don't know what Oni's talking about, that white men get the best looking black women when they date out. I'm sorry. We gotta stop looking at social media, right? Because there's plenty of black women dating nerdy, dorky, loser ass white dudes. Plenty of them.
Serena Williams.
Thank you. Alex Ohanian, the dude who didn't even.
No, I said the women look good.
Okay, but not all the black women look good. You think every black woman dating a white man looks good? Nah,
not
bro.
everyone, but when you come to New York City, you'll see.
Well, you come.
Like
I tell you what, you come to
Lupita.
Hillsborough County.
I think Lupita's one of them, but sometimes you see like Lupita dating some like you said, some nerdy ass white dude. And I mean, I know a lot of us not looking at Serena, but like some people are looking at Serena.
Right, but you come to Hillsborough County, Florida, you'll see some of these beluga whales, these big old 300-pound black women with these skinny white men. So I don't know what you're talking about, but that's why y'all got to get out. Y'all got to get out of these major cities and actually live in the flyover country, live in the actual United States, because those cities don't represent the country. We live in the actual country where we actually dealing with people. Yeah, you got plenty of busted black women with white dudes. It's not, the white women get the white men get the best looking black women. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't. So, but anyways, I don't know, man. It's more swirl talk again. I'm a conscientious objector to the gender war, but it's just more swirl talk. You know, you want to put your beloved white man. Oh, I tried my best with you Negroes. Okay, that's how you feel. That's how you feel. Go over there, but when you go over there, stay over there. You know, I'm not trying to hear that. You know, you tried your best, because, and this is just from my experience, a lot of stuff that these same women wouldn't let do with a black man, they'll let slide with a white man. In fact, there's several self-help books that many black women are selling, trying to sell interracial relationships to black women, right? And one of the main themes that they say in these books, you can't treat white men the way you treat black men, right? You have to be nicer to them. You have to be more paid. You can't talk to them the way you talk to the black men. So who's to say maybe she found better success with white men because maybe she treated that white man a little bit better than she treated the black man. You know, that's the 800-pound gorilla in the middle of the room nobody wants to address. Maybe the way these women approach white men, hell, a lot of times they approach white men. They don't approach black men like that. They'll go out their way to be in spaces with white men. They don't do that for black men. So
Blacksmith, what the book called? How to Be a Plantation Mommy?
She called herself the white man's whore. That's what she called herself. Not hoe, she said whore. So I'm just saying, I see these type of topics like this. I'm always a little wary of this, digging up. I tried my best with these black people. Did you really? Did you really? Were you dealing with some inherent anti-blackness yourself, and you treated that white man better than you treated the black men you dealt with? Maybe you were a little bit more cooperative. Maybe you weren't quite so argumentative with the white man in your life. So I'm tired of it, man. I think I've had my fill of these swirl topics, man. I wish these bitches would just swirl and shut the fuck up. Go swirl with. You know what? I got a solution for everything. You want first half these bitches want to date a bear, the other half want to date a white man. Why don't you date a polar bear? He's white and he's a bear. To kill two birds with one stone. I'm done.
Like it's oh man, like one thing I wanted to say, it was like with like The View, and they have these people, and I think Bakari or said was very true, is that these aren't intellectuals. These are failed comedians, C-list, D-list actors. And with this mentality that they have, that's why they're able to say the things that they do. And I'm not a Kevin Samuels fan. I'm not a Andrew Tate fan, because a lot of things they say I disagree, but there's also a lot of things that I say that agree. And when you look, there's no such thing. Women are allowed, and I think Buana said this. Women are allowed to say whatever they want about men, have forums, have podcasts, have talk shows, daytime talk shows, and say whatever you want about men. The moment a man says, "Well, I think a woman should," oh, sexist, misogynistic, nigga, you gay. It's like, what, right? And Kevin Samuels just laid out the reason why he was so successful. Was like, hey, look, we need to hear from what the men are saying, what the challenge they're having with black women. All the black women started getting on top of Kevin Samuels, like, oh, how dare you're sexist, you're misogynist, you gay. You know what? You don't like women. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to have a bridge between black men and black women and the relationships that you have. The things I disagreed about Kevin Samuels was that he put the Christianity bullshit in there. He's like, if you're a Christian, man becomes the hierarchy is I report to God, you're a woman, we report to me, and this stupid shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, he was right when he says men control marriage, women control sex. So I like what he was doing, right? And the fact that women got upset, right? Black women got upset goes to show you that you can't, goes back to what we were saying before, you cannot say anything about black women, because then they get upset. But Cynthia G which is a divester, say, oh, if you, even my son heard that nonsense. He's like, oh, if you're pregnant with the black man's baby, you need to find out if it's a girl or an abortion. She's still fine. No black women, no one's losing their shit saying get rid of Cynthia G, but you want to get rid of Kevin Samuels because he says, hey, look, black men are not thrilled about you having weaves and nails and just regular shit like that. We don't care about how much money you make. We care about how you treat us. You know, so I'll just end it right there, have someone else talk. But I think I just wanted to just add that.
Hey, let me respond to. Look, first I'm gonna say, see, what happened is he watched a lot of channels with a lot of subscribers. I heard a lot of black women talk about Cynthia G. I didn't agree with nothing that she said. I really can't think of much that Kevin Samuels said that I agree with either. A man and a woman in a marriage together, don't no man control no marriage. If you married, see, this is the problem. When I hear people repeat that, people forget Kevin Samuels also said, you never fight up, you fight down. Don't fight the powers above you, fight down. So he was teaching the black man to fight down, fight your woman. So I don't listen to, I ain't saying what nobody else should do. And you can go find it. That's still online now. Kevin Samuels.
No, but Brother Bakari, what I was, but Brother Bakari, I don't mean to go, but what I was trying to say about that was basically he was talking about the relationship dynamic. Go ahead.
Oh, I got you, but let me finish, cause now when people say something, I use their words. I ain't trying to figure out what they might mean, right? So almost with Kevin Samuels, I didn't agree on much or nothing. The little bit that I watched of Kevin Samuels was as a bigger part of the gender war as Cynthia G and anyone else. Just like there were black women talking about Kevin Samuels, there was also black men talking about Kevin Samuels. Just like there's black men that was talking about Cynthia G, there was black women talking about Cynthia G. And because Cynthia G said something stupid, extremely stupid, and kept pushing it, and some people followed it, I'm not gonna say somebody else because they're the same gender as me that they are right, because they basically just gonna damn near just saying the opposite. Don't nobody control the marriage. If you and somebody married, y'all supposed to be a team. If you want to be in charge, if you really want your black woman to submit and be in charge, go stand up to them white folk. If you want, if that same dude that telling that, bow down to them white folk. So if you want your woman to see you as this strong man and follow you, go stand up to the folks that pushing you around. Go stand up to the folks that pushing black folk around, because I ain't gonna fight the black woman. Them black women that was up there, I don't give a damn about them. But I know one thing, I will step to them white folk. But most of the black men that agree with Kevin Samuels, I'm just saying most, they ain't gonna say all. They ain't got no smoke for them other folk. They got smoke for their woman. And that's why our problem is, and that's one of our problems with the gender divide, with this gender war. We want to come home and push our woman around, but your woman can look outside and see Mr. Charlie pushing you around, and we ain't saying nothing. That's just my take.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, but you misunderstood. Maybe I should have been clear in the context of what I'm saying. So I'm talking about courtship. I'm not talking while you have a relationship and try to maintain and stabilize a relationship. I'm talking about courtship. So he was talking under the framework of, hey, when a man engages in a woman and a woman engages a man, we have two things in mind, right? Not saying generally, but most of the part, we have two things in mind. A man is looking at a woman, is like, wow, she's fine, she's gorgeous, I want her physically, right? But we have to ask her, we have to court her. She has in her mind is like, wow, okay, this guy likes me, right? If I'm very into him, that much into him, is he marriage material? So that goes to what I was saying when Kevin Samuels said, which is very true. Women are in charge of sex, men are in charge of marriage. To the point where when we see on Facebook and Twitter you see a whole debate about a woman say, "Hey, baby, we've been together for 5 years. To marry me, I'm gonna get on my knees and marry to you." And everyone just loses it. Some people lose it, some people don't. Why? Because in the society that we have right now, no, you're emasculating me. How are you on your knees saying to marry me? You know what I'm saying? So it's very reflective to but women are supposed to practice chastity. She's not gonna be, hey, give me your, let's do it. Let me ride that pole. No, she's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna let you know when I'm ready for sex. Right? That's how we keep each other at bay. So I don't agree with everything that Kevin Samuels says, and it's false to say what Kevin Samuels was doing and what Cynthia G was doing is the same. They're not the same. I don't know any time where Cynthia, Samuel says, "Oh, F black woman, F them all." I could show you on YouTube. There's channels where some lazy ass black guy that don't want to do nothing with this life and saying that be a black woman ain't anything because he read into it the wrong way. Black woman ain't anything. This guy has no job. He does Uber Eats. The woman's like a doctor, going to school, doing a doctorate, paying all the bills. And Kevin Samuels just called a guy a piece of shit. He's like, "You're a piece of shit. Get out of here. She should get rid of you." Versus Cynthia G saying just black men in general ain't no good. Get yourself a white man. Kevin Samuel is not a divester in black relationships. He's there to help black relationship. Now it's up to you whether he's doing more.
He died with a non-black prostitute. He died with a non-black prostitute. For the
True.
record,
That's very true. Yes.
He died with a non-black prostitute.
Yes, and he
So
was hypocritical.
Ain't that divesting? No, it's not.
No.
So
Again,
y'all sleep with. So what's it? So y'all can sleep with other women. I'm just asking, but don't date them.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying what the man did. I'm not talking about how the man met his demise. I'm just talking about the body of work that he presented. I'm not talking about the end of his journey. Those are two different arguments. So all I'm saying is what he presented. Cynthia G is not saying, "Okay, black women, this is how you deal with the black man." You know what I'm saying? She's not saying that. She said F black men. Kevin Samuels is not saying that. Kevin Samuels, I've seen instances and cases where Kevin Samuels would, and I'm married, so I don't need relationship advice. I just found the conversation interesting. And I got a little bit invested in the conversations. And that's why I could say Kevin Samuels, Andrew Tate, I don't agree with them 100%, but they do make good points. And I'm only using Kevin Samuels because Kevin Samuels said, "Hey, look, I was talking to black men the whole time, no problem with black men. Say, hey, guy, you need to do this. Wash your ass. Use cologne. Do this. Do that. Dress this way. Dress that way. Same thing. Okay, black women, do this. Do that. Do that. Ah, nigga. Well, who you talk?" And that's the difference. Cynthia G never did anything like that. You know what I'm saying? That's all I want to say.
So okay, so he say dress. I know he say put on a suit. I'm gonna tell you something, man. I had to put on a suit. T-shirt. I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man with confidence in me, and I know my conversation is nice, and I know I'm smart, and I don't have those problems. So for me, like really, I didn't listen to Kevin Samuels much because I ain't need a man telling me how to deal with a woman. I didn't listen to Cynthia G that much. I went against that nonsense Cynthia G was talking about. I would go against that nonsense that was nonsense what Kevin Samuels was talking about. But what I asked was, you said you're not talking about how he met his demise. You said Cynthia G talked about divesting. She do. That's very stupid. I mentioned Kevin Samuels with a non-black woman and said, ain't that divested? You and Black Steel say no, it's not. So then I asked the question.
Just Black Steel said that.
Wait.
No, just Black Steel said that. I didn't say that.
Okay, you did. So I'm gonna ask you again. So I'm gonna ask Black Steel. So it's okay. And I know you married, and so I don't want to get nobody in trouble. So I ain't gonna even ask that question no more because everybody already know what the question is, right? But to me, I'll say that's divesting as well. But I'm gonna say again, when I said him and Cynthia G was similar, was alike, he was part of the gender war as well. That's what I meant. I didn't say he said the same thing. I said he was part of the gender war. That's what I said. He's part of the gender war. and I didn't watch either because I was not a part. I was not going to be a part of the gender war. When you say he said a woman controls sex, that ain't true either. But I hear a lot of black men took that advice from Kevin Samuels and ran with it. That's not true.
But that's as far as again. I'm talking about courtship. I'm not, and
I'm
again,
talking about courtship.
I don't
wait a minute,
generalize.
but what I'm saying is, I'm talking about courtship as well, and I would say that is not true. Women don't just control sex. Women like sex as much as a man. They don't control sex. If a man knew how to discipline himself, going through the whole courtship, and can say, "I'm going to make her wait," you could do the same thing if you knew how to discipline yourself.
Agreed. I'm just saying in
So what
the
I'm saying is he was wrong. But what I'm saying is that was wrong
so-called
too.
general roles. That's how it is sometimes. Now, yes, you're right. I agree with you. There's many times I've been with a lot of women that say, "Oh no, I don't have sex," and it will be like, I'll cut that shit down in half, just based upon me being me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying for other people, that's usually how it goes. Again, I'm a married man. I've been married longer than I've been single. So I only took an interest in it. I'm not that invested in it. So, yeah.
All right. So before we go, that's the last topic for tonight. Before we all leave, I want to thank everyone, first of all, for showing up. No one leave yet. I'd like to get a shout out. Could be something positive you saw, something good that you got going on, or whatever you want to shout out this week. Give a shout out before you leave. Kofi, I'll start with you. What do you want to shout out this week?
I'd like to give a shout out to this panel, to all the people that contribute to it. It makes it very interesting. It's something that I look forward to at the end of the week, just conversing with like-minded people. Please remember, anyone that has a YouTube channel out, because I like Black Steel, only you brothers, I really like what you do. Even Brother Bakari, been new Brother Bakari since another channel. If you guys could put your YouTube channel in the other chat, I really appreciate it. And again, shout out to everybody here.
Appreciate that, Kofi. Thanks for coming through as well. But Bakari, what would you like to shout out? I haven't been seeing you around much these days. What would you like to shout out this week?
I be listening, man. Sometimes I just don't say nothing, but I be listening though. But I want to shout out the panel. I want to shout out KWAZ Radio. I want to shout out Black Business. I want to shout out, tell you, hold your damn money. Stop supporting these people in your community. I will be live tomorrow at 3:00 with Baba Ogun Dabede Pabeni. We'll be doing another live tomorrow at 3:00. I've been saying for the last couple of weeks I'm gonna do a live talking about the mind of black folk. I might do that one before I do one with Pat Benny, because it's just some things that I want to talk about to show how we see things and how we need to change within our community, within ourselves, the low self-esteem that we of a people have, and I as a whole group of people, because I also think that's where the gender war come in at, that black men has low self-esteem, have been walked on and beat on. Black women been walked on and beat on, both by the same people. Now it's by everybody. So that is something I wanted to talk about. But peace, thank you for letting me speak in peace to the chat.
Appreciate you, Bakari. Thanks for coming through. Oni, what would you like to shout out this week?
Well, you know what? I'm not gonna shout out people, right? Especially because Bond is here. Now I'm joking. No. But what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna shout out my brother. Matter of fact, so he told me this sexist joke a long time ago. I don't know how to phrase it. It's pretty damn witty. It's probably not good because it's sexist. But I'm gonna repeat it here. It's against bro code to repeat it in front of women, but we'll do it anyway, right? But it goes like, what do you call a man who's acting like a woman, right? And this is important because a lot of times we would, we look for double standards. Oh, if a man said that, if a woman said that, blah blah blah, and it's like you as a man not supposed to act like a woman, But what do you call it when a man is acting like a woman? And the joke is he's overreacting, right? And you might say, well, that's a real word, overreacting. And it's like, no, he's acting like he's acting through his ovaries, and, it's a little sexist, obviously, but it's like that's a thing that we do, like we shouldn't do as men. We shouldn't be overreacting. You know what I'm saying? Yes, there are bad black women just like there are bad black men. But if women are going crazy with, oh my gosh, they're bad, what? I tell people this. I told somebody this the other day. But one time I knew this. I had a coworker. That's the sleeper you lay or whatever. I had a coworker who, I don't know, she ain't like Jamaicans or some shit, right? She ain't like Jamaicans. She ain't like blah 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 blah. I gave it a good stroke. Why? I don't know. I just feel like it, right? She stopped that xenophobic shit. At the end of the day, and you got to realize a lot of women don't get the good stroke. Sometimes they talk about some women go their whole lives never having orgasms or some shit, right? My point is this. We as black men shouldn't be overreacting. That's all I'm going to say, But anyway, I'll shout out my brother for that, sexist ass joke. I think it's pretty funny, pretty witty. Because, when you hear people saying, hey, you're overreacting, you're like, oh, shit, they talking about, you don't know. Like, I feel like sometimes you listen to it, you feel like white people know what they're saying. But it is what it is. That's all I would say.
All right. Thanks for that. Make sure you guys tune into Oni. He'll probably be on in the morning. Black Steel, what would you like to shout out this week?
Shout out. Well, shout out to the panel. Shout out Morehouse University. So apparently, there's Biden supposed to be coming to speak there, and they're planning a protest against Biden. So shout out to them. It's supposed to be soon, so that's going to be interesting to see where that goes. So shout out to Morehouse. Shout out to the panel. Everybody that shows up every weekend and speak. This is good. We need this, and I hope to see you guys next week.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. Last but not least, Bueno, what would you like to shout out this week?
Yeah, a few things. So, shout out to Ori for, first of all, I would want y'all to go purchase his book. Ori is becoming a prolific writer, and whether we know it or not, he is a very sharp-minded individual, and in the future, people will be talking about him in the future, whether we know it or not. So I would say get some of his books now while it's still selling for a price that's affordable, because he's a sharp mind. He's traveling and seeing the world, and I think that his view will be something that we'll talk about in the future, whether we know it or not. But saying that and that aside, shout out to the Tanzanian sister who's completely brainwashed him completely and has him in her cult, because he's a complete feminist. He's a Tanzanian feminist right now. So anything he says, he's just hypnotized. Shout out to Brother Bakari. I am requiring Brother Bakari, because he said he don't wear suits, to go take his number 2 to a nice dinner with a nice suit on and impress her with a nice meal. So find an old suit from 1980s that you probably ain't wear since 1980. Slap that on, tuck in your stomach, and take it to a nice restaurant. But shout out to my big brother Bakari. Shout out to all the brothers on the by the way, shout out to my niece. My niece has graduated high school, and I am concerned about the world that she is gonna be entering into. Very concerned about that, because the conversations we having right now, and just the world itself, and the direction it's going in. I'm very concerned about the youngers, the people who I know, and people coming after us. I'm concerned about that, man. But just as we was able to deal with the issues in this life, I think that they'll get through. But I think that I just hope that whatever foundations or firm ideas that we would have laid in going forward, it'll be able to preserve them and help them be productive people. But sometimes, man, with the direction of this world, I concerned about that big time. You know, shout out to the Bitter Meds. The Bitter Meds has been going for a long, long time, and I think that consistency needs to be applauded and appreciated. So if you all have time, I always forget from time to time, but if you all have the time and the monies, give support to your brother and the Bitter Meds. He's been for his consistency. Consistency should be appreciated, and the information and the dialogue and the communion, camaraderie that we have every Saturday night, and exchanging ideas, manly ideas and responsible ideas. I think that sometimes you gotta reach in your pocket from time to time and show my brother some love. Revolutionary Matron. Always gotta call out. Revolutionary Matron has just read a book from I forget the name of the man now.
Frederick.
Not Frederick Douglass.
Oh,
the
sorry,
man who built Tuskegee. The man who built Tuskegee. Right. So she's just reading about him, being a book about him in terms of revolutionary Negro. I think that his story needs to be Booker T. Washington. I think that his story and the complexities of his story needs to be told more and discussed more, because I think many people within our community first consider him to be that Uncle Tom character. But as Matron reads the chapters of his book, you see the layers and then what went into creating the man and the things that he was able to accomplish in his lifetime. And that's an important thing and to really take note and mention of. So I think that the fact that Matron is doing this work, I think that the brothers need to reach in the pocket and sisters need to reach in their pocket as well and contribute to her efforts as well, because this is very important information that we must take a hold of in going forward. And even if we don't do it ourselves, give it to our seeds, give it to the people who we love and care about, because this information will be valuable for them going forward. So I would just say and mention that that she needs to be appreciated, not just in word, but in deed and monetarily as well. So that's just something to consider for the panelists. But shout out to the Bitter Meds once again, and I appreciate all of the dialogues tonight, and I can't wait until next week. I'll leave it there, Koku.
Yes. Thank all of you who are on the panel tonight. That's why I shout out as well. Thank all of you on the panel. Thank all of you who are active on the network too. I know I've kind of, well, I'll be back on track soon enough with it. But shout out to everyone who's a regular, who keeps consistent as well. We'll be back next week. Well, we ought to be back next week. Until then, I want you guys to be good. Support everyone on the network. Support yourselves and your family. Support your community. And until next week, you guys be good. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.